Linhai city of Long Kingdom stood as the last anchor in the chaotic world, known as Lin Xing. Reality was torn apart as creatures from another dimension poured in and attacked humanity without end. Even in the middle of despair, a small spark of hope remained. Strange marks appeared on the backs of human hands and unlocked the chance to awaken unique classes. From that moment, humanity entered the class awakening era, and only 3 people ever reached the mythic rank. In America, the demon swordmaster and fan rose to fame. In Russia, the Hell Rider Zaystip built a terrifying reputation. South Korea answered with the frost mage King Guan Jihyun. Their overwhelming mythic classes allowed those 3 nations to dominate the exploration of the other world. A century ago, Long Kingdom also produced a once-in-history genius. That legend was the supreme powerhouse named Tula. In only 10 years, he achieved feats that no one in Huaxia could match. He even became the first person to conquer the 7th world layer. Everything changed when a level 9 catastrophe arrived with a massive beast horde. As an 8-time class awakened warrior, Tula stood alone at the final defensive line. He protected Long Kingdom from complete destruction, but the price was his own life. This year marked exactly 100 years since Tula fell. The memorial ceremony in Longcheng gathered nearly every top powerhouse in the nation. The latest report showed 12.35 million people awakened this year. Over 3.952 million completed their class advancement, setting the highest record since the other world arrived 115 years ago. Even more impressive, the number of core classes surpassed the era when Tula first appeared, giving everyone hope for a new legend. Many even believed a second Tula could be born in this generation. Inside a cramped room, a young man lay silently on an old bed. As his consciousness slowly returned, a cold voice repeatedly announced that the dimensional gate was about to open and all class holders should prepare. The endless announcement continued until he suddenly opened his eyes in shock. He jumped up on instinct and could not believe what was happening. Looking around the dark room, he wondered if he had already died and where this place was. Then a crushing headache struck, as if tearing his mind apart. Memories from another body flooded in, including the cold voice of a girl who looked down on his newly awakened class. Mixed with it were a nurse's complaints about unpaid medical bills and the belief that a poor beast tamer would eventually die in the other world. He also saw the former owner's final moments and apology to his younger brother, leaving him unable to tell which memories truly belonged to him. He raised his hand and slowly realized this unfamiliar body was now his. Then the truth stunned him. 100 years later, he had reincarnated into someone with the same name, and that person was a weak beast tamer. Beast tamers relied completely on raising summoned beasts, consumed endless resources, and rarely reached the top, making the class one of the least desired. That was why the former owner had lived a miserable life before ending it in despair. He walked to the mirror and stared at the frail body that reflected a life everyone had abandoned. But deep inside, another identity remained. He was Tula, the former strongest warrior of Long Kingdom. After putting on his worn clothes, he silently accepted this new body. Looking into the mirror, he smiled faintly and decided to live on for its former owner, while finishing every regret through the brutal hunt across the other world. The warning about the dimensional gate opening echoed once again. Without hesitation, his eyes were filled with determination. Following the activation method, he placed his left hand over the mark on his right hand. Within seconds, a 3-meter gate appeared out of thin air before him. Without a moment of hesitation, he reached out and touched the swirling energy. He stepped inside, and his body was instantly swallowed as he vanished from the room. The moment he entered the new space, a mechanical voice confirmed the identity of Tula and announced that the system had been inactive for more than 36,000 days. At the same time, the massive idle energy accumulated over all those years was added at once, granting a reward worth hundreds of millions of points. A fate-changing announcement echoed through the air. He had wiped out the first wave of level 9 beasts, unlocked the mythic achievement Peerless Across Worlds, and earned the supreme blessing on his Supreme Divine Oracle. Supreme Divine Oracle activated automatically, massively boosting all energy gained from both online and offline time. The system then poured in idle rewards at a staggering 9,999 times the normal rate, pushing his total energy to an almost unimaginable amount. The mountain of rewards briefly stunned Zhang Yue, but remembering the life he had sacrificed, he accepted everything without hesitation. A new interface appeared and asked him to choose his class again, offering nothing but mythic core paths. The list included Knight, Death Knight, Warrior, Dark Swordsman, Assassin, Shadow Reaper, Priest, Holy Priest, Inferno Mage, Nether Hunter, Beast Tamer, and Necromancer, covering nearly every combat class. In his previous life, he had been an epic warrior, while Beast Tamers were known as the most resource-hungry class, because both the Master and the Beasts consumed enormous resources. But this time, everything was different. With nearly limitless idle energy, only one class made sense to him: Necromancer. The moment he made his choice, the system confirmed his promotion into the mythic class Necromancer, an evolved form of Beast Tamer, with overwhelming power from the very beginning. The class details revealed a mythic magic class, with exceptional growth in damage, mana, HP, physical defense, and magic defense, along with 3 core abilities: capturing monster souls as non-tradable pets, evolving pets to mythic rank by devouring equals with absolute loyalty, and cutting pet leveling experience in half. Ordinary beast tamers could only improve a pet's intelligence through rare quests, and could never raise its quality, but the Necromancer shattered every limit by evolving pets and turning monsters directly into loyal servants. Unlike his previous life, where he spent 10 years as an epic warrior, climbing to the top of Long Kingdom and conquering the 70th world, he was now starting as a mythic class, with nearly unlimited idle resources. With that foundation, his goal was no longer just Long Kingdom but the peak of the entire world. The system confirmed that he had entered the first world, Nightmare Origin, the safe starting zone for new players. It also warned that combat was forbidden inside the safe zone. After a brief thought, he abandoned the name Tula and chose a new ID, 0. That name was more than a symbol. It declared his determination to surpass even the legend of Tula. Looking around, he realized this world felt almost identical to reality, while countless newcomers stood confused because there were no monsters inside the safe zone. Moments later, the first world mission was announced, throwing everyone into chaos, as some panicked, others searched for teammates, and many still had no idea what was happening. Zhang Yue opened the mission panel and saw the story of Nightmare Origin, where darkness consumed the land, monsters overran the world, and the survivors had to fight back. The mission was simple: kill 1,000 monsters and collect 10 silver coins. The first player to finish would unlock the gate to the boss, and defeating it would open the path to the next world. After reviewing the basic rules, everything felt completely familiar. Having reached the 70th world in only 10 years during his previous life, he understood the entire setup at a glance, so he headed for the equipment shop first. Zhang Yue then entered the equipment shop in Sunrise Town. As soon as he walked in, the shopkeeper greeted him and asked what he wanted to buy. The shop only sold basic gear, with OnStar equipment being the highest quality available. Seeing Zhang Yue look unimpressed, the shopkeeper leaned closer and quietly suggested that better items were available for an extra fee. Without wasting a word, Zhang Yue tossed over a bag of copper coins and immediately ordered a OnStar magic staff. The deal was completed in seconds. The staff was placed into his hands, and the smiling shopkeeper invited him to visit again. The purchase happened so fast that the newcomers were left stunned. Some even said spending every starter coin on a OnStar weapon was a complete waste. Ignoring the whispers, Zhang Yue gave a slight nod and walked out with the staff. They had no idea that only OnStar equipment or higher could be enhanced with dimensional energy, leaving plenty of room for growth. But dimensional energy was extremely rare and mostly came from hunting monsters, so most players saved it for leveling instead of upgrading cheap gear. The crowd continued mocking him, convinced he had wasted all his money without buying any defensive gear and would not survive for long. For an ordinary beginner, that judgment was actually reasonable. Early on, dimensional energies was so scarce that almost nobody would waste it on enhancing a basic OnStar staff with only a tiny magic attack bonus. But Zhang Yue only smiled because resources were never his biggest concern. What he truly possessed was an endless supply of dimensional energy. The system reminded him that every enhancement consumed energy, while offering a chance to improve the item's quality, though the success rate dropped with each level. Without hesitation, Zhang Yue confirmed the enhancement and kept pressing the button again and again. One successful upgrade after another flashed across the screen as brilliant light surrounded the weapon. After hundreds of enhancements, the staff finally reached its maximum level, consuming nearly 1,000 points of dimensional energy and transforming into the Golden Pioneer Flame Staff. The new staff greatly boosted magic attack, increased intelligence, and added a burn effect that dealt continuous damage, turning worthless gear into a deadly weapon. Flames suddenly burst around the staff, marking the completion of its evolution, and the real story was only beginning. Opening his status panel, he was now officially a mythic necromancer at level 0. His basic attributes had skyrocketed. His attack far surpassed any normal beginner, and he still had an enormous reserve of dimensional energy. The moment he stepped outside the safe zone of the first world, Nightmare Origin, the atmosphere changed completely. A heavy gray sky loomed overhead, the ground felt icy cold, and death filled the air. This was where every beginner's nightmare began. Near the village gate, many class users were already fighting. Warriors and knights struggled against giant mutated rats, while archers fired support from behind. Their teamwork was solid, but their damage barely scratched the monsters. Even in full parties, the strength of new players was far too low to pressure the monsters. One warrior was already trembling in fear, realizing that even the weakest monsters were incredibly difficult to defeat. Even worse, a single hit from those creatures could put a player's life in serious danger. Suddenly, a blazing fireball shot through the air and slammed into a mutated rat. A bright red damage number instantly appeared above the monster's head, 55 HP. The burn effect from the Pioneer Flame Staff activated immediately, dealing another 20 HP every second until the rat burned to ashes before it could even get close. The system confirmed the kill. Level 1 mutated rat defeated. Reward, 2 EXP, 10,000 dimensional energy, plus additional bonuses from his special buff. Watching the monster disappear, Zhang Yue smiled with satisfaction. With a mythic class and a fully enhanced weapon, low-level monsters stood no chance against him. The instant kill left every nearby player completely frozen in shock. The crowd erupted with disbelief. They could not accept that a beginner had dealt that much damage, and the golden staff in his hand stunned them even more. In their eyes, he had to be a hidden expert or a high-level player returning to the beginner zone for fun. Zhang Yue ignored them, bent down to pick up the dropped copper coin, and decided to hunt stronger monsters, since level 1 enemies gave far too little experience. According to the system, Nightmare Origin contained 4 main monster types of increasing difficulty, along with a level 10 boss called the Rampaging Wild Boar, and Zhang Yue headed straight for the higher-level hunting grounds. He headed straight for the abandoned factory, where stronger monsters gathered, and leveling would be much faster. Along the way, several newcomers approached and invited him to join their party for an easy boost. 2 female class users even offered healing and damage support, hoping he would let them tag along. Zhang Yue turned them down without a second thought. As he walked past, everyone behind him felt a strange pressure, as if something incredibly dangerous had just brushed by. They whispered among themselves, realizing his presence was even more intimidating than the monsters nearby. When they saw him heading toward the abandoned factory, a place marked as extremely dangerous, they became convinced he was an elite player, unlike anyone else. Every mutated rat that blocked his path was casually eliminated with a swing of his staff. Upon reaching the giant poison spider area, he opened fire immediately. A single fireball landed, triggering critical hits and burn damage that wiped out the entire spider swarm in moments. After killing 11 giant poison spiders, a beam of light surrounded him as he leveled up. His stats increased dramatically. He reached level 2, gained free attribute points, and widened the gap between himself and ordinary players. Without slowing down, Zhang Yue charged deeper into the monster zone and mercilessly hunted every remaining spider. Explosions and spells echoed through the forest as waves of crimson light tore through the darkness. Another level up followed. The system increased his HP, mana, and free attribute points, raising him to level 3 as the experience requirement climbed even higher. After defeating more than 30 spiders, he reached level 2, then killed over 60 more before officially advancing to level 3 at an astonishing pace. A new notification appeared. He had unlocked his first skill and received the system reward, Little Fireball. The advantage of a mythic class became obvious. His level-up rewards were several times greater than those of normal classes, giving him 18 free attribute points within just a few early levels. Zhang Yue knew the necromancer combined magic and summoning, so every build focused on spells and magical equipment. To survive with this build, casting speed and spell consistency were the highest priorities. Most players ignored beginner skills because upgrading them consumed precious resources, but Zhang Yue was different. The one thing he had in endless supply was dimensional energy. Little Fireball was a basic spell that launched a fireball dealing magic damage with a burn effect, featuring low cost and a short cooldown. The system began upgrading the skill non-stop. After only a few enhancements, its level rose rapidly, and its damage exceeded normal limits in no time. Zhang Yue kept pouring dimensional energy into the skill until it reached its maximum level and evolved into an A-rank version with overwhelming power. An A-rank skill during the beginner stage was almost unheard of, since ordinary players usually needed months to achieve that without rare resources. At his current pace, finishing a few more world missions would be enough to reach level 8 and prepare for the first world's final boss. Instead of staying in the low-level area, Zhang Yue ventured even deeper in search of stronger monsters. Before long, he arrived at an abandoned factory, hidden within the danger zone. He pushed open the door and walked inside without hesitation. In a dark corner, he found a badly wounded NPC missing one leg, lying motionless in worn armor, with a blue identification icon above his head. In this world, NPCs existed alongside players, each with their own quests and stories, making it feel like a game where every life-or-death consequence was real. As Zhang Yue approached, the injured NPC weakly begged for help, asking him to kill the scorpions that had slaughtered his family, and the system immediately displayed a quest prompt. After checking the rewards, Zhang Yue quickly judged that NPC quests were usually more valuable than ordinary monster drops. He accepted the quest, Scorpion Extermination, which required him to eliminate the armored scorpions inside the factory and defeat their leader in exchange for experience, silver coins, dimensional energy, and a random piece of equipment. The moment he accepted the quest, his expression changed, as if he had sensed an even greater opportunity hidden in this place. With the quest secured, Zhang Yue returned to the outer section of the factory, where the silence felt almost unnatural. He smiled faintly and scanned the area. He knew this place held more than monsters, but finishing the quest came first. His eyes locked onto the dark shapes crawling in the distance. They were the armored scorpions, his next targets in the first world. Their information appeared. Level 5 armored scorpions with nearly 300 HP, heavy armor, high defense, and the ability to greatly reduce incoming damage. To Zhang Yue, they were nothing more than quest materials. He estimated that every few dozen kills could earn him another OwnStar item. His staff began to glow as flames gathered around its tip while he selected his first target. Without hesitation, he cast Super Fireball. A massive fireball tore through the air, smashing into the scorpion, cutting away more than half its HP and leaving it burning. The scorpion instantly activated its hardened armor and charged straight at him. Zhang Yue sidestepped the attack and answered with another fireball, this time landing a critical hit that slashed away even more of its HP. Combined with the burn effect, the monster collapsed within seconds. The system rewarded him with experience and a large amount of dimensional energy for defeating the level 5 armored scorpion. Although the damage was overwhelming, Zhang Yue noticed the skill consumed a considerable amount of mana and could not be spammed forever. He quickly adjusted his strategy, alternating between skills and basic attacks, while predicting that the area's boss would appear soon. Sure enough, after enough scorpions had been defeated, the ground began to tremble as a far stronger presence emerged. Two glowing red eyes slowly opened within the darkness, radiating murderous intent. The giant scorpion king crashed onto the ground, sending debris flying and overwhelming the entire factory with its presence. Zhang Yue tightened his grip on the staff and decided to finish the fight before his mana ran dry. He immediately unleashed another full-powered super fireball at the boss. The Scorpion King raised its enormous claws and blocked the attack head-on. Even so, the spell left only a few scorch marks on its armor, proving it was far tougher than ordinary monsters. But Zhang Yue remained calm. The boss counterattacked, thrusting its spear-like tail toward him with terrifying speed and forcing him to dodge at once. The instant he escaped the strike, he launched his counterattack. Zhang Yue leaped high into the air, passed directly over the Scorpion King's head, and poured all his remaining mana into another fireball aimed at its weak point. A violent explosion erupted as flames engulfed the boss, surrounding it in relentless fire. After struggling for several seconds, the Scorpion King finally collapsed under the accumulated damage, while Zhang Yue landed with barely any mana left. Looking at the fallen boss, he stepped forward to deliver the finishing blow and complete the quest. But at that very moment, a figure suddenly appeared behind him and lunged forward with a concealed weapon. Another man emerged beside the boss corpse, laughing as he declared that the boss rewards now belonged to them. Zhang Yue casually shifted aside, avoiding the sneak attack by the smallest margin and leaving the attacker frozen in disbelief. He smiled faintly, glancing at them, as though he had expected this all along. Cold sweat instantly covered the attacker's face, as he realized Zhang Yue had noticed him from the very beginning. Having survived 2 lifetimes in the other world, Zhang Yue had seen countless ambushes and boss thieves, and none of them could fool him. His gaze turned icy as he warned them they had chosen the wrong target because he had faced enemies far more terrifying than they could imagine. He declared that his former opponents were on an entirely different level. His staff shone brilliantly as a gigantic shadow appeared overhead, crushing the area with overwhelming pressure. The injured young man immediately cried out in panic. A blazing fire projectile shot forward in an instant, silencing him before he could say another word. The remaining man watched in horror and immediately turned to flee. He could not understand how Zhang Yue still had power after exhausting his mana, but Zhang Yue only smiled and calmly asked why they had come here in the first place. A system notification suddenly appeared. After killing the armored scorpion, his mythic necromancer class activated, giving him a chance to absorb its soul as a summon. It had never triggered after hundreds of kills, but this time the special effect finally appeared. Realizing his class ability had activated, Zhang Yue admitted that luck was finally on his side. He opened his summoning space and called forth a massive black armored scorpion. The system confirmed it had been successfully tamed. It looked just like the boss, except its HP bar was now green instead of red. Its status window revealed a defensive role with maximum loyalty. If it died, its loyalty would decrease, but its stats heavily favored durability, and its passive damage reduction made it a living shield. The system then explained the mythic necromancer bonuses. Loyalty was permanently locked. Summons could evolve by devouring other summons. Leveling required far less experience. And unlike ordinary beast tamers, Zhang Yue was no longer limited by resource shortages. Looking at his new summon, Zhang Yue found it surprisingly impressive since he had more than enough resources to raise it. Without hesitation, he poured a huge amount of energy into it, pushing its quality from D rank all the way to A rank, and greatly increasing its damage reduction. The remaining young man froze in disbelief. No ordinary beast tamer could possess this level of power or resources. Zhang Yue calmly revealed that he had sensed someone following him from the start, and guessed they were stealth assassins who hunted lone players before stealing the Scorpion King's rewards. Realizing the situation, the young man panicked and desperately wanted to escape, knowing he had challenged someone far beyond his level. Zhang Yue simply smiled and even allowed him to run, curious to see how far he could get. In the very next instant, the Scorpion King charged forward with incredible speed, almost disappearing from sight. Its massive claws slammed down on the fleeing target without hesitation. The blow dropped the young man instantly, leaving him begging for mercy in complete despair. Zhang Yue looked down coldly and said that in a world where only the strong survived, anyone who wanted to prey on others had to be ready to become the prey. A horrifying scream echoed through the factory. After finishing everything, Zhang Yue returned to the factory and reported back to the NPC, who thanked him sincerely and treated him as a trusted ally. The system confirmed the completion of the Scorpion Extermination quest, rewarding him with experience, silver, dimensional energy, a magic necklace, and a special pair of armored boots. A golden light descended upon Zhang Yue as the system announced his level up. His HP and mana increased. He gained more free attribute points, unlocked the refinement feature, and reached level 4. The next level would require far more experience, so he shifted his attention to the new rewards. Inside his inventory, Zhang Yue examined the loot. A blue magic necklace greatly boosted his mana, while the matching armored boots increased both physical and magic defense. Both were on-star equipment that could still be enhanced. Seeing the rewards, he almost laughed. He had just been lacking mana, and now the perfect item had appeared. He immediately enhanced both pieces hundreds of times, spending massive amounts of dimensional energy until they evolved into golden quality equipment with enormous mana and defense bonuses. After equipping everything, his combat power rose to an entirely new level. Combined with the Scorpion King summon, he was more than ready to challenge level 5 content. Without wasting another second, Zhang Yue left the abandoned factory and headed toward areas filled with even stronger monsters. At that moment, a system announcement echoed across the region. A hidden level 5 dungeon had appeared near Doomsday Town. It would remain open for only 1 hour, and the first player to clear it would receive an incredible reward, instantly attracting every nearby player. The details confirmed it was an extremely rare level 5 dungeon, whose difficulty far exceeded the strength of most current players. Opening the map, Zhang Yue discovered the dungeon was only a few miles to the south. With his current strength, it was the perfect chance to pull even farther ahead. Without wasting a second, Zhang Yue locked onto his target and headed straight for the hidden dungeon. A few minutes later, he arrived before a massive purple vortex, towering dozens of meters high. Countless low-level players had already gathered there, but most hesitated to enter. One rookie warrior was even trying to recruit a party. The crowd kept discussing the risks. Most believed the level gap was too great, and entering now would be nothing but suicide. Zhang Yue quickly surveyed the scene and realized far more players had come than he expected. A tense silence filled the area, as everyone stood frozen before the entrance, waiting for someone else to make the first move. Then another group arrived, with a completely different presence. Their gear glowed brightly, clearly enhanced OnStar equipment, far beyond ordinary starter gear. The crowd immediately recognized them, especially their leader, the son of one of the region's wealthiest tycoons. Every member of his team carried valuable equipment, proving they possessed resources beyond the reach of ordinary players. Just then, a woman's voice called Zhang Yue by name. He turned and saw a party from a major guild, including a female priest staring directly at him. The moment he saw her face, the memories aligned. She was the original owner's ex-girlfriend, who had abandoned him the moment he awakened as the low-ranked beast tamer. Standing confidently among the crowd with excellent gear, the priest looked at Zhang Yue with open disdain and mocked him, saying a weak beast tamer had no right to enter a level 5 dungeon. Zhang Yue simply smirked and replied in an indifferent voice, "So, is that supposed to be a problem?" Lin Yuni froze for a moment. The Zhang Yue she remembered had always tried to please her, yet now he was completely indifferent, and his calm response caught her off guard. She quickly regained her arrogant expression, leaned against the young man beside her, and declared that only truly powerful players belonged in a dungeon like this. The young man wrapped an arm around Lin Yuni and mocked Zhang Yue, implying he was only bitter after being dumped and should learn his place. Zhang Yue let out a cold laugh and replied that anything he had already thrown away was worthless, and they should stop mistaking their fantasies for reality. Lin Yuni exploded with anger, pointed directly at him, and urged the man beside her to teach Zhang Yue a lesson for acting so arrogant. Zhang Yue remained perfectly calm, his icy gaze fixed on them, as he warned them to be ready for the consequences if they kept provoking him. His warning only enraged Lin Yuni further. She called him a useless loser, pretending to be impressive while insisting the man beside her was the one with real strength. Liu Yao carefully observed Zhang Yue. He found it strange that he could not see his level or class, as if they were being deliberately concealed. Even so, he remained dismissive because his own team was fully equipped with enhanced OnStar gear, and he decided not to start a fight just yet. Liu Yao took a deep breath, suppressed his anger, and began lecturing Zhang Yue, as though speaking from a position of superiority. He declared that he would spare Zhang Yue this time, because he did not want to waste any more time. He then ordered his teammates to check their resurrection items and prepare to enter the hidden dungeon before anyone else. The entire group stepped through the glowing purple portal together. The players outside watched them leave and discussed how impossible it was to compete against such a wealthy guild. Zhang Yue paid them no attention. To him, wealth meant nothing. Only strength decided the path ahead. Someone in the crowd mentioned that each resurrection scroll cost thousands of yuan, yet that guild had brought stacks of them as if money meant nothing. In this world, resurrection items allowed players to revive after death, with limited uses each cycle, effectively giving everyone extra lives, making competition even more brutal, and most people believed that wealthy guild already had victory in its hands. Zhang Yue fixed his eyes on the dungeon gate and concluded that a powerful final boss had to be waiting inside. Regular monsters were no threat, but the boss was still an unknown. He quickly formed a plan. If he could raise the Scorpion King to level 5, then, with his current gear and skills, he would have a real chance of clearing the entire dungeon. With his strategy settled, he shifted his focus to the next step. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, Lin Yuni frowned and asked Liu Yao why he had not dealt with Zhang Yue earlier. Liu Yao calmly explained that too many people had been watching outside, and attacking there would have damaged both his family's and his guild's reputation. He reassured Lin Yuni that once they ventured deeper into the dungeon, Zhang Yue would have nowhere to run, and he would even force him to kneel and apologize. Hearing that, she smiled again. Back outside the dungeon, Zhang Yue took advantage of the Beast Tamer experience mechanics and his ranged attacks to instantly kill a level 5 armored scorpion. The burst damage was overwhelming, and the Scorpion King gained enough experience to level up. He realized that thanks to the Necromancer's reduced experience requirement, simply letting his summon farm normal monsters would level it at incredible speed. The spectators who had mocked him moments ago were completely stunned. The poor nobody they had laughed at had effortlessly defeated a level 5 armored scorpion in a single exchange, and many silently swallowed their earlier insults. The female class users immediately changed their attitude. Some invited him to join their party, others tried to befriend him, and a few even promised all kinds of benefits just to follow him. Zhang Yue rejected every offer without hesitation. In his mind, keeping all the resources for himself was far better than sharing them. He simply continued hunting monsters with his staff and fireball, pushing his farming speed even higher. While he was clearing monsters, the system suddenly issued an urgent announcement. The level 5 dungeon, Doomsday City, would close in 10 minutes, and all players had to either leave or finish before the timer expired. Now that the Scorpion King had reached level 5 and become much tougher, Zhang Yue used it as his frontline tank while he stood safely behind it and unleashed spell after spell. He checked the Scorpion King's status. It was a defensive physical summon with maximum loyalty, level 5, low current experience but tremendous growth potential, greatly increased physical and magic defense, massive HP, and a passive damage reduction skill that made it an almost perfect living shield. Thanks to his mana recovery equipment and the smooth rotation of his fireball skill, his attacks became even more efficient, and his monster clearing speed increased noticeably. After making every preparation, Zhang Yue stepped into the level 5 dungeon, fully confident that the remaining 10 minutes were more than enough. Inside the dungeon, a fierce battle had just ended, leaving the battlefield covered with signs of destruction and wounded class users. Lu Yao stood among his exhausted teammates with a frustrated expression, complaining that they had almost defeated the Scorpion boss. A lower-level member sighed that the level gap was simply too large, and fighting it felt like suicide. Every member of the Supreme Guild was completely worn out. Lin Yuni hurried over to Lu Yao, urging everyone to retreat before the monsters overwhelmed them, while several others agreed that they should escape as soon as possible. At that moment, another figure stepped through the dungeon entrance. The newcomer immediately drew everyone's attention. The instant Lin Yuni recognized his face, she froze. The person who had just entered was Zhang Yue. Lu Yao glanced over and sneered, saying only a fool who did not know his limits would enter a level 5 dungeon alone. Zhang Yue answered with nothing more than a faint smile, not even bothering to acknowledge the group. Lu Yao instantly lost his temper and prepared to teach Zhang Yue a lesson. Lin Yueni mocked him for being too poor to even afford a resurrection item and claimed he had entered the dungeon only to throw away his life. At the same time, another teammate warned that the boss was getting closer and they needed to leave immediately. Lu Yao snorted and decided to ignore Zhang Yue, saying he could simply die inside the dungeon while they escaped with resurrection items, instead of wasting time killing him themselves. The system officially announced the Secret Realm mission. Defeat the Iron-Armored Scorpion King, a Defensa-type Lord monster guarding the area. Zhang Yue was teleported into the ruined city, surrounded by smoke and wreckage. Ignoring everyone else, he immediately locked onto his destination. The mission timer showed less than 9 minutes before the Secret Realm closed, so he rushed toward the city center at full speed. A deafening roar echoed ahead as crushing pressure filled the street. A gigantic scorpion appeared and charged straight at him. Before him stood the Iron-Armored Scorpion King, a massive boss far stronger than ordinary monsters, with overwhelming attack, defense, massive HP, and armor-focused skills. It was clearly the guardian of the entire Secret Realm. In this world, monsters were ranked as normal, elite, lord, and final boss. The Scorpion King stood far above the scattered enemies he had faced before, with an HP bar that looked almost impossible to break. Without hesitation, Zhang Yue summoned his own Iron-Armored Scorpion to fight. At his command, the Iron-Armored Scorpion charged fearlessly and slammed into the boss. The collision shook the ground, yet only a little over 20 damage appeared above his pet's head, barely a scratch compared to its total HP. Thanks to defensive gear and the passive steel body skill, the damage was reduced to almost nothing, making it nearly immune to the high-level boss. The moment the enemy was pinned down, Zhang Yue raised his staff and prepared to strike. An R-rank fireball exploded toward the target, landing a devastating critical hit and applying a continuous burn effect. With that single attack, nearly 1/5 of the Scorpion King's HP disappeared, leaving anyone watching stunned. The boss immediately switched targets, but the Iron-Armored Scorpion blocked its path. The two giant creatures clashed head-on, while the boss kept pounding the pet, dealing nothing but tiny damage numbers. With the perfect shield holding the front line, Zhang Yue stood safely behind it and unleashed non-stop attacks, turning the battle into a one-sided beatdown. R-rank fireballs rained down without pause, and every hit carved another huge chunk off the boss HP, giving it no chance to recover. the Scorpion King's roar gradually weakened, losing all of its earlier ferocity. The relentless damage overwhelmed it, and even a powerful elite monster could never have survived such an endless assault. At last, the boss crashed to the ground, completely unable to fight back. Zhang Yue leaped onto the monster's corpse and stood on top of it as a symbol of victory. He tightened his grip on his staff, his calm expression showing that even a lord boss was nothing special to him. Right then, a region-wide announcement echoed across the map. Player Ling became the first to clear the level 5 secret realm, City of Doom, and received a rare secret realm scroll as a special reward. Nearly 3,000 players across the region were instantly shaken by the announcement. The world chat exploded as countless players wondered who Ling was and how anyone could clear a level 5 secret realm so quickly. Meanwhile, those who had just left the secret realm, especially Liu Yao and Lin Yue'er, were the most shocked because they knew there had not been enough time for anyone to finish it. Liu Yao looked at Lin Yue'er in disbelief and suggested that Ling might actually be Zhang Yue, since the announcement appeared not long after he entered. But Lin Yue'er immediately rejected the idea, insisting that a weak beast tamer who once did not even have a pet could never accomplish something like that. Liu Yao thought it over before finally agreeing that the possibility was almost zero. It was probably another hidden expert. He concluded that anyone capable of soloing a level 5 secret realm was definitely no ordinary player. At the same time, Liu Yao became determined to find Ling and recruit that person into his guild at any cost. Back inside the secret realm, after defeating the boss, Zhang Yue checked the loot and immediately noticed a special scroll lying beside the corpse. It was a level 5 secret realm scroll that could absorb energy to upgrade its quality, greatly increasing its rewards, and even trading for enormous resources. Without hesitation, he activated the upgrade. Energy was consumed non-stop as the scroll advanced from common to bronze, then silver, and finally reached the highest king grade. It was the first king-grade secret realm scroll ever seen in this world's history, with a value beyond imagination, equal to an enormous fortune that ordinary people could never obtain. But Zhang Yue did not hesitate for even a second. To him, only greater power mattered, so he calmly crushed the scroll in his hand. As the level 5 king-grade scroll was fully activated, the system confirmed part of the requirement had been completed, granted a small cash reward, and unlocked a special king-grade mission. A new mission window appeared. Save the survivor. King difficulty with a X100 modifier. A world consumed by darkness and monsters was on the brink of destruction. His objective was to find a survivor named Aylin and escort her to a safe zone. The reward remained hidden. The time limit was only 12 hours, and failure meant the mission would disappear forever. Seeing the outrageous difficulty multiplier and the unknown reward, Zhang Yue immediately realized this was no ordinary quest, but one designed to push players to the edge of survival. He opened the map and followed the mission marker toward the rampaging forest. He was only level 5, while monsters there were already level 10 and above. Using Scout, he discovered a group of level 10 rampaging wild boars with high attack and defense, dangerous enough to overwhelm him if they surrounded him, especially with the current level gap. After a brief moment of thought, he chose to prioritize the main mission, ignored grinding monsters, and headed straight into the rampaging forest. Before long, a terrified scream echoed through the woods. A little girl was running for her life, while a giant wild boar chased close behind. Without hesitation, Zhang Yue fired a precise fireball and instantly killed the monster, ending the danger in a single hit. He helped the little girl to her feet. Just as the system confirmed the mission target had been found, she looked up and asked if he had come to save her. The system confirmed that Aileen had been rescued and updated the remaining mission time to 10 hours. Furious roars began echoing from deep within the forest, signaling that the monsters were gathering. Zhang Yue frowned, realizing that rescuing Aylin had likely triggered the monsters in the area, making them even more aggressive. Moments later, a herd of wild boars burst out from every direction and surrounded the entire area. He immediately raised his staff, locked onto his target, and prepared to counterattack with fireball. A blazing fireball exploded into its target, dealing heavy damage and applying burn, but it was not enough to finish the monster instantly. The entire herd quickly tightened the encirclement, placing enormous pressure on his position. Zhang Yue realized that even with powerful gear and an A-rank skill, fighting large numbers of level 10 monsters was extremely difficult, especially while protecting the mission target. With no better option, he summoned the iron-armored scorpion to the front line as a living shield. The pet charged forward at once, blocking the relentless head-on attacks from the wild boars. With a solid front line in place, Zhang Yue took advantage of the opening and continuously launched super fireballs to maintain relentless damage. One blazing projectile after another crashed into the enemy, dealing massive damage as the number of monsters steadily dropped. The system announced that he had defeated a level 10 rampaging wild boar and gained experience along with a large amount of energy. Seeing how effective the battle had become, Zhang Yue pushed even harder, ordering his pet to hold the line while preparing to level up. More monsters fell one after another, and his experience rapidly climbed with each system notification. However, the prolonged battle was draining his mana, while the growing number of monsters increased the pressure. Aylin nervously asked if he was all right. Zhang Yue reassured the girl, promising that he would get her safely out of the forest. The moment he finished speaking, a wild boar charged straight into him with tremendous force, sending him flying backward. Almost instantly, he regained his footing and answered with a perfectly aimed super fireball. The explosive attack struck the target head-on. Even so, the mutated wild boar refused to go down immediately. Zhang Yue retreated behind the iron-armored scorpion's defensive line, realizing the situation was becoming increasingly critical as both he and his pet were nearing their limits. This mission was far tougher than he had expected. At last, one of the burning wild boars finally collapsed. A golden light of level up surrounded him as he advanced to level 6 and then level 7 in quick succession, greatly increasing his survivability and mana. Seeing the opportunity, he immediately invested every available stat point into attack power to maximize his killing speed. As he opened his character window, Zhang Yue viewed the complete status panel of the player ID Ling. His class was the mythic inherited necromancer, now at level 7 with 0100 EXP. His magic attack had reached 164, while physical defense was only 18, magic resistance 19, HP 230, and energy 192. Secondary attributes such as intelligence, agility, spirit, and constitution directly affected critical hits, speed, mana, and survivability. The system also showed unused energy and free attribute points ready to be assigned. After defeating the Scorpion King, Zhang Yue picked up a ring from the loot and equipped it immediately. The Glory Ring was a level 7 Lord grade item with a OnStar Gold rarity. It granted 35 attack, 3 strength, and an armor penetration effect that ignored 20 points of the target's defense. Forged from the Scorpion King's fangs, it was built for pure killing power. Without wasting another second, Zhang Yue began a full-scale sweep. A massive fireball gathered high above, signaling that the battlefield was about to be engulfed in flames. A thunderous explosion echoed through the forest as a level 10, rampaging wild boar took the hit head-on. The system immediately rewarded him with 40 EXP and another 100,000 energy. Seeing the huge jump in damage, even Zhang Yu admitted the difference was incredible. Before, it took 7 or 8 fireballs to kill one monster. Now, only 2 were enough. Farming suddenly became much easier. System notifications poured in non-stop as one wild boar after another fell beneath the endless rain of fireballs. Zhang Yue continued advancing, wiping out everything in the chaotic forest. Before long, the last wild boar had been eliminated. All that remained was escorting Aylin back to the safe town and completing the mission. But just as they left the dangerous area, a group of players blocked the road ahead. Every one of them carried the Supreme Guild title, instantly putting Zhang Yue on guard. Even so, he only wanted to finish escorting Aylin safely and had no interest in wasting time. Leading the group was a male warrior wearing dazzling golden armor, covered in expensive-looking equipment. He was a level 5 elite. Beside him stood Lu Yao and a level 4 priest named Lin Yue, both looking at Zhang Yue with obvious contempt as if he were beneath them. Zhang Yue had no intention of wasting time with them. He looked over coldly and said only one sentence: "Move aside and get lost." Lin Yue immediately urged Lu Yao to attack, boasting that as a fully geared level 5 elite, in full gold equipment, he had almost no rivals among new players. Lu Yao sneered and claimed that he had spared Zhang Yue last time only because he did not want others to see him bullying the weak. This time, he would show no mercy. Zhang Yue remained perfectly still and met his gaze. "If you want to kill me, then try. I'll give you the chance." The moment those words fell, Liu Yao exploded with rage. He mocked Zhang Yue, asking whether his mouth or his sword was tougher, then swung his blade with absolute confidence, believing an unarmed beast tamer could never withstand the attack. Yet Zhang Yue did not move at all, allowing the sword to slash directly into his shoulder. The instant it connected, a damage number appeared above his head. The entire Supreme Guild group froze on the spot, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. An unarmed beast tamer had casually endured an attack from a fully geared elite in gold equipment, as though nothing had happened. It was completely beyond their expectations. After taking the hit, Zhang You's combat system responded as well. Instead of defending himself, he simply said coldly, "Finished your little performance? My turn." He raised his staff, and a super fireball rapidly formed above it. The terrifying pressure surged as though it could crush the space around them. The moment Liu Yao saw it, his face turned pale and cold sweat covered his body. He hurriedly shouted that he was the guild master of the Supreme Guild and had the backing of a powerful family, begging Zhang Yue to stop. Before he could finish speaking, a deafening explosion erupted. The fireball detonated at point-blank range, blasting Liu Yao through the air like a discarded rag. A massive damage number appeared together, with a critical hit notification, killing him in a single strike. The battlefield instantly fell silent. Liu Yao's body disappeared, leaving only his gold equipment scattered across the ground. Zhang Yue glanced down and mocked him. "You brought this on yourself." The system then announced that Liu Yao had initiated a malicious attack, turning his name gray. For the next 10 minutes, Zhang Yue could retaliate without gaining crime points. The system further explained the name color rules. Ordinary players had white names, but anyone who initiated malicious PvP would have their name changed to gray. During that period, the victim could fight back legally without penalty. The system also explained another layer of the rules. If the victim failed to defend themselves, the aggressor would immediately receive a red name along with 100 crime points. Under the world's law, once a player became red-named, returning to safety was almost impossible. The only way to remove the penalty was to continuously hunt monsters or simply die in this world. The system also reminded players that the punishment for death was severe. Defeated players could lose levels, lose experience, and most importantly, drop all of their equipment and items. Elsewhere, Lin Yue sat frozen in place, her face pale. The image of Liu Yao being killed with ease kept replaying in her mind. While collecting the loot, Zhang Yue suddenly glanced at her. Lin Yue panicked and quickly raised her hands. "What are you going to do?" Inside, she was already calculating how few 7-day revival scrolls she had left. She realized she had already used one scroll to escape the secret realm. Using another now would leave her with almost nothing. In desperation, she softened her tone and even tried to sound affectionate. "Honey, actually I have always." Before she could finish, Zhang Yue walked right past her as if she did not exist. In his eyes, she had never attacked a white-name player, so she was not worth fighting. The mission mattered far more than wasting time on her. Being ignored like that made Lin Yuer's face darken. Humiliated and furious, she silently swore revenge. Not long afterward, Zhang Yue returned to the safe zone of the Doomsday town, with Irene beside him. Before leaving, Irene quietly thanked him and headed home. The system immediately announced the completion of the King-grade mission Save the Survivor, rewarding him with 10,000 EXP, 20 silver, 50 million energy, and the 10,000-fold blessing effect. More rewards followed, including the Frost Staff, the Ice Spike skill, and several common items. Zhang Yue also reached level 8, gaining additional HP, MP, and free attribute points. The next level required 9,500 EXP. After sorting through the rewards, he took out the newly obtained staff for a closer look. It was a level 8 Frost Staff with a 2-star white rarity. It required no specific class and granted 25 magic attack. Its description stated that upgrading its rarity would unlock even stronger ice damage. Even at 2 stars, it was considered a rare item at this stage, especially since Zhang Yue had just reached the required level to equip it. The system then reforged it 144 consecutive times, consuming more than 22,000 energy. In the end, it became a gold rarity weapon known as the Frost Obliterator Staff, its icy aura transforming into something far more powerful. The higher the equipment grade, the more terrifying the energy cost became. Fortunately, that was no longer a concern for Zhang Yue. Among the rewards was also a blue egg classified as a pet item. However, it was only of common quality and had nothing particularly valuable about it. After checking his inventory, he realized that he had also picked up plenty of common pet eggs while farming monsters earlier. After a moment of thought, he decided to feed every one of them to his armored scorpion. The pet immediately became excited. The system continuously updated its progress as the armored scorpion devoured the common monster eggs. Every egg increased its evolution points, climbing from 110 to 210 and continuing to rise with each one consumed. After eating all 10 eggs, the creature finally completed its evolution, transforming from a common monster into an elite silver-armored scorpion. Its status panel updated immediately. Physical type, level 8 elite, loyalty 100. If its loyalty ever dropped to 0, it could never recover and would betray its master. Its defense skyrocketed to 74 physical defense and 65 magic resistance, while gaining passive skills that reduced incoming damage and reflected 30% of the damage it received. It had become a true frontline tank, built to protect its master. Looking over everything he had gained, the upgraded 2-star staff, the newly evolved elite pet, and the gold equipment taken from Liu Yao, Zhang Yue began making plans. With this lineup, he was confident he could challenge the final boss of the beginner zone. Even after such an incredible haul, Zhang Yue did not rush toward the boss. He had already decided to return first and prepare a few essential supplies. In this world, returning to reality required passing through a safe zone. Seconds later, a gray space portal nearly 3 meters tall opened in the air. Zhang Yue stepped inside and left the doomsday town. When his vision cleared, he found himself back in Linhai City, in the real world. He had returned to the same cramped apartment room as before. At that moment, the phone on the table began vibrating non-stop as repeated calls came in. The moment he answered, a cold voice warned him that his younger brother, Zhang Zhao, still owed 390,000 in hospital bills. If the payment was not made, the hospital would immediately stop all treatment. They demanded a transfer or a solution within 10 minutes. Without another word, Zhang Yue hung up. He activated the mark in his hand, opened the Otherworld interface, and checked his inventory. His first plan was to sell some of his equipment for cash, to deal with the urgent situation, and repay the debt tied to this body. Just as Zhang Yue was about to list the Vanguard Flame Staff for sale, the system issued a warning. The item was bound and could not be traded. Only then did he remember the Otherworld's rules. Any equipment that had been enhanced, reforged, or upgraded was automatically bound to its owner and could never be traded or dropped. His plan to make money by selling gear collapsed instantly. He only had 90 silver left, worth a little over 10,000 yuan, nowhere near what he needed. He had no choice but to find another solution. Zhang Yue opened the web and searched through the Otherworld forums. The forums were packed with strange job listings. Players were selling resources, offering power leveling, trading weapons, and even providing leveling services for beginners. Prices ranged from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands of yuan. Although every world had its own safe zone, the market among awakened players was incredibly active. Among countless posts, one mission caught his attention. First world, Linhai City, hiring someone to power level a beginner. Reward, 300,000 yuan. The post had been up for more than 4 hours, had over 30 million views, yet nobody had accepted it. The comments were full of doubt and warnings, with some even calling it a death mission. Since accepted jobs disappeared from the forum immediately, this was clearly no ordinary request. Zhang Yue looked at the contact number at the bottom and called without hesitation. He opened with a single sentence. "That's an interesting bounty you've posted." Somewhere in Linhai City, a phone suddenly rang, breaking the silence. Zhang Yue got straight to the point and asked what the 300,000 yuan power leveling mission actually required. A calm female voice answered clearly. First, the person accepting the job had to be a newly awakened player from this batch. Second, they had to escort the designated person through the first world. Zhang Yue expected more complicated conditions, but that was all. After a brief pause, he stated his price. "I need 390,000. To his surprise, she agreed immediately and even raised the payment to 400,000 after the mission was completed. He asked when to begin. Her answer was short and simple. 10 minutes. Meet at the Resurrection Spring in Doomsday Town. After ending the call, Zhang Yue activated the space portal and returned to the Otherworld. A flash of white light later, he arrived at the Linhai City safe zone and headed straight for the Resurrection Spring as agreed. Zhang Yue had already done the math. He needed to clear the first world anyway, and now he would earn another 400,000 yuan on top of it. There was no downside. It was a huge profit. Besides that, his silver-armored Scorpion was still 2 levels away from reaching level 10. This trip would be the perfect chance to level it up as well. While thinking, he noticed a figure in a black cloak approaching the Resurrection Spring. Dark mist surrounded the person's body. His instincts immediately told him this was the 400,000 yuan client. He asked directly, "Are you the one hiring a power level?" The cloaked figure simply nodded without saying a word. Whispers immediately spread through the crowd. Some recognized the mysterious mage, who always hid behind a cloak in the beginner zone. Others commented that the beast tamer had accepted such a dangerous job purely for the money. Ignoring everyone's stares, Zhang Yue immediately sent a party invitation to begin the mission. Before long, the system confirmed the party request. He accepted at once, officially adding his client to the team, before leading them away from the Resurrection Spring toward the outskirts. During the trip, the woman remained silent. Zhang Yue took the initiative and explained the requirements. To clear the first world, you need to kill 1,000 monsters and collect 10 coins. "You know that already, right?" She answered with only one word, "Yes." The other world had a special damage rule. Players could not land the killing blow on monsters far above their own level. Even if a monster was reduced to 1 HP, it would not count unless they delivered the final hit themselves. Although the woman's ID was hidden, her level was still visible. She was only level 1. Zhang Yue nodded, confirming his plan. He would complete the mission while helping her level up at the same time. Then he pulled out the frost staff and prepared to begin farming. The two quickly arrived at the ruins. Level 5, iron-armored scorpions crawled everywhere. Zhang Yue immediately used his ice skill to reduce each monster to critical HP without killing it, deliberately leaving the final blow for his client to gain the experience. A faint smile appeared on his face. He was pleased with the crowd control of his new skill. Although it dealt less damage than Fireball, its control effect was outstanding. Seeing that the woman was still standing there, he urged her, "What are you waiting for? Finish it." Startled, she finally came to her senses after a brief pause and raised her hand to cast a spell. A weak magic bolt flew forward, struck the injured scorpion, and finished it off in a single hit. The system immediately calculated the EXP split. In a two-player party, each received 80%, while the final hit granted an extra 20% bonus, letting her claim nearly the full reward. Level-up lights flashed one after another as she jumped from level 1 straight to level 4, leaving her stunned. Just as she turned around, another iron-armored scorpion suddenly charged from behind. Zhang Yue reacted instantly. With his high agility, he rushed forward and pulled her out of the path of the deadly attack. In the next instant, he spun around and counterattacked with his staff. A blazing fireball exploded head-on, instantly wiping out the scorpion. When the dust settled, the girl was still lying on the ground, too shocked to recover. Being saved so suddenly clearly shook her, and the way she looked at Zhang Yue became far more complicated. Zhang Yue stood up and urged her onward. "Get up, we are moving to the next farming area." She quickly hurried after him. As they entered the chaotic forest, silence remained between them. Zhang Yue glanced at her and asked, 400,000. How old are you? She did not answer with words. Instead, she raised 2 fingers, then one more. Zhang Yue understood. 21? He continued asking why she was still such a low level despite awakening long ago, but received no real answer. At that moment, the girl suddenly stopped, forcing both of them to halt. Then a deeper female voice, completely different from before, came from her, instantly changing the atmosphere. In that tense moment, the client suddenly spoke with another voice, as though a different personality had taken over. She told Zhang Yue to leave immediately, promised compensation, and begged him not to let her older sister find out. Zhang Yue frowned at the girl before him and casually said, "I thought you couldn't talk." He calmly replied that he had accepted the job and would escort her through the first world. But she immediately shook her head, warning that she carried disaster wherever she went, and anyone who stayed with her would only be dragged into trouble. Hearing that, Zhang Yue asked with curiosity, "What do you mean by disaster?" She was just about to explain when a disturbance behind them cut her off. A passing group of awakened players stopped and laughed when they saw her. They called her the Disaster Mage and talked about forum posts claiming that anyone who accepted missions involving her usually died. Some even said killing her rewarded huge amounts of EXP and energy. The group immediately shouted that they were getting rid of a menace and charged straight toward them. The client panicked and warned Zhang Yue that every one of them was around level 5 or 6, and there were simply too many to fight. Believing she was their true target, she desperately urged him to leave. In her eyes, he had strong damage but could never defeat an entire squad alone. But Zhang Yue did not retreat a single step. He stood in front of her as his expression turned cold. He switched to the Frost Obliterator's staff, icy energy spreading through the air as he prepared for battle. Just as both sides were about to clash, another group suddenly appeared from a different direction, making the situation even more chaotic. This new group had around 10 members, led by none other than Liu Yao and Lin Yue'er. The first group immediately became nervous after recognizing Liu Yao, the wealthy heir from one of Linhai City's most influential families. They began worrying that he would steal their target. 2 members quickly changed their attitude, stepped forward, and repeatedly apologized, hoping to avoid trouble, but Liu Yao ignored them completely. The moment he spotted Zhang Yue, he sneered with contempt. What a small world. Zhang Yue answered calmly with a faint smile. Maybe you came here to deliver more equipment. Then he added one more sentence that instantly froze Liu Yao's expression. For the next 7 days, you won't be using another revival scroll. Liu Yao snorted and signaled everyone to prepare for battle. Instantly, every guild member behind him drew their weapons as the tension reached its peak. Zhang Yue remained standing in front of his client with the Frost Obliterator staff in hand, Cold energy surrounded him, yet his expression stayed completely calm. Liu Yao hesitated for a moment. When he realized Zhang Yue showed no fear at all, he looked back at his team. Everyone seemed ready to fight, yet something still felt strangely off. Irritated, he shouted at his subordinates, asking whether they even understood his orders. "If I tell you to draw your weapons, then do it. Stop standing there like idiots." The group looked confused before all responding with an understanding nod, as though they had finally figured it out. The entire squad immediately rushed forward once again. In the blink of an eye, they completely surrounded Zhang Yue and his client. But just as the battle seemed certain to begin, every guild member suddenly put away their weapons, pulled out gift boxes instead, and raised them toward Zhang Yue. The abrupt change left both Zhang Yue and his client frozen in surprise. Even Lin Yue'er had no idea what was happening and turned to question Liu Yao. He immediately snapped at her, cutting her off before she could finish. Standing safely at the edge of the encirclement, Liu Yao kept a polite smile and calmly approached Zhang Yue, stressing that he had no intention of using force and only wanted to talk. He had even prepared a collection of rare and valuable gifts in advance, clearly planning every step to win Zhang Yue over. Liu Yao then made his offer. "Join the Supreme Guild and work under me, and every one of these treasures will be yours. Whatever you want, you'll have it." He sweetened the deal with a monthly salary of 50,000 yuan. The crowd was stunned. Everyone had expected a fierce battle, but it had turned into a public recruitment instead. The amount alone was enough to make many people swallow hard. Lin Yue'er immediately chimed in, mocking Zhang Yue for being dirt poor. She claimed he could grind for 10 years and still never earn that kind of treatment, so he should know his place and accept Liu Yao's offer. In her mind, she was already planning ahead. If Zhang Yue joined Liu Yao's guild, controlling and ordering him around in the future would become much easier. But Zhang Yue was completely unmoved. He replied coldly that he only respected people stronger than himself. Then he deliberately provoked Liu Yao, telling him to try using force if he wanted, openly belittling him in front of everyone. The moment those words fell, the entire crowd went silent, including Liu Yao. Lin Yue'er exploded with anger, pointed straight at Zhang Yue, and shouted that 50,000 yuan a month was more money than he could probably earn in a year, yet he still dared to refuse. Zhang Yue glanced at her and answered with a mocking smile. He implied that she had already lowered herself by willingly bowing to others, and she should not assume everyone else wanted to live the same way. Her face flushed red, but she had no reply. Then he swept his gaze across the awakened players surrounding him and asked coldly, "Are we fighting or not? If not, get out of my way." At that moment, Liu Yao raised his hand and calmly gave the order, "Let him go." Lin Yue'er frowned in frustration, unable to understand why they were letting someone who had openly defied them walk away so easily. Liu Yao ignored her complaints. Instead, he barked at his subordinates for hesitating and repeated his order to let Zhang Yue pass. They quickly obeyed. The encirclement opened. Zhang Yu and 40,000 calmly left the scene and headed toward the chaotic forest. Watching them disappear into the distance, Lin Yue'er stamped her foot in anger. A nearby assassin could not help asking why they had not simply killed him. Someone even suggested eliminating Zhang Yue on the spot, but Liu Yao immediately lost his temper and punched the subordinate as a warning, ordering him to stop talking nonsense. He then explained that what people could not obtain was always what they valued most. If something came too easily, it would quickly lose its worth. Even after hearing that, Lin Yue'er still could not understand. Earlier, Liu Yao had been determined to kill Zhang Yue at all costs. Why had he suddenly changed his mind without saying anything to her? Liu Yao gave only a vague answer, as though he was replaying everything from the moment Zhang Yue had killed him. He carefully analyzed that battle again. Zhang Yue came from a poor background and should never have possessed high-end equipment. Yet he had dealt unbelievable damage. His fireball in particular had instantly killed Liu Yao. That kind of power was clearly abnormal. From that point on, Liu Yao concluded that Zhang Yue was anything but ordinary. On the contrary, he was far too valuable to lose. No matter what, he had to recruit him into the Supreme Guild. Lin Yue'er could only remain silent on the outside, no longer daring to argue with him. Inside, however, she still looked down on Zhang Yue. She believed he was nothing more than a useless poor nobody, and even swore that one day she would make him kneel before her again. Elsewhere, Zhang Yue led 40,000 into the chaotic forest. She thanked him for protecting her earlier, but Zhang Yue answered bluntly, "No need to thank me. If you died, where would my 400,000 yuan come from?" He made his principles perfectly clear. He worked for money, nothing else. Loyalty and sentiment meant nothing to him. After hearing his words, 40,000 hesitated before slowly shaking her head. Her voice trembled as she admitted that it would be better to abandon the mission, because the chance of success was almost zero. Zhang Yue immediately asked why she had posted the bounty in the first place, if she never believed it could succeed. She had brought him into the other world already. Wasn't it far too late to back out now? 40,000 let out a weary sigh, as though she had long since run out of hope. She explained that she had almost given up already. The one who refused to quit was her older sister, while she was merely the one suffering the consequences. Then she sadly admitted that she possessed a dysastor-type constitution and that everyone would be better off staying away from her. After saying that, she told Zhang Yue to check her information himself. She showed him her status screen. It revealed a special class called Calamity Mage. Because of her calamity body, she could never farm monsters alone and had to stay in a party. Anyone who teamed up with her would share her bad luck. If either one died, both would die and drop back to level 0. Leaving the party would reset her level while the other person stayed safe. This curse would only disappear after clearing the first world. Anyone who killed her would also gain an enormous amount of EXP. Seeing those details, Zhang Yue immediately remembered a rare group that existed in this world. Besides normal combat classes and life professions, there was also an extremely rare special type. These people had to break their class limit before evolving into a true profession. The odds were almost 1 in a million, but anyone who succeeded could awaken an incredibly powerful class, sometimes even reaching legendary or mythic rank. Most never made it through the barrier, and were eventually treated as failures before fading from the system. 41 sadly admitted it had been over 3 years since her awakening. She had tried more than 100 times and still failed to break the limit. Because of the world's rules, she could only party with one person, leaving her completely trapped. On top of that, party members could not be more than 10 levels apart. That meant both had to stay at a low level, making the first world boss almost impossible to defeat. She paused as tears slowly rolled down her face while softly calling his name. Zhang Yue suddenly asked a question that left her frozen. What if he could help her clear this world? At that moment, hope returned to 41's eyes. She looked both shocked and unable to believe it. Her voice trembled as she asked again, still unsure if she had heard him correctly. For years she had dreamed of breaking her class limit and becoming a recognized profession holder. His offer felt like the light at the end of a tunnel. She could barely stay calm. It felt as if a dream had suddenly become reality. Zhang Yue cut her off and told her to focus on clearing the first world mission first. He briefly explained that unlocking the world boss required completing a chain of basic quests. The first objective was killing 1,000 monsters. The second mission was collecting silver tokens. The two quickly entered the Rampage Forest. When they encountered a herd of berserk wild boars, Zhang Yue unleashed his full power. His high-grade gear activated, his staff and weapons blazed with light, and a single rank fireball exploded with massive damage, wiping out the entire group in an instant. 41 stood there in complete shock. It was the first time she had witnessed such terrifying power. In only a short time, he finished the monster objective and even gathered every required drop. Zhang Yue asked directly if she was ready to challenge the boss, now that the prerequisite quest was complete. She immediately nodded without any hesitation. Noticing she still looked uneasy, Zhang Yue asked what was wrong. She admitted she still could not understand why someone as strong as him would accept such a difficult mission. Zhang Yue simply smiled and said he was not like ordinary people. Deep down, he felt a little awkward because he could not admit he desperately needed money in the real world. The system confirmed that all conditions had been met. Enough silver tokens had been collected, and enough monsters had been defeated. The World Boss Challenge was now unlocked. Zhang Yue pressed confirm. The space instantly responded, opening a gate to the boss domain. Nightmare Origin, Abyss of Cruel Demons. A notification confirmed that all requirements had been completed. He turned to ask if she was ready. 41 tightened her grip on her staff and nodded. Together they stepped through the gate and entered the boss arena. A system notification announced that they had officially entered the first world's boss domain. They had 1 hour to defeat the boss, the Berserk Wild Boar King. The system clearly warned that if they failed to kill the boss within the time limit or were slain by it, the challenge would be considered a total failure. They would have to restart the entire quest chain before another attempt became available. While getting ready, Zhang Yue casually tossed a pile of support items to 41. She quickly caught them and realized they were rare resurrection items and high-grade healing potions worth a fortune. She was stunned that he had prepared so thoroughly. Zhang Yue simply explained that even though he was confident, unexpected dangers always existed in another world. Bringing extra supplies was the safest choice. He then summoned the silver-armored scorpion, the beast he had obtained from an earlier loot drop, along with the defensive armor taken from Liu Yao. With those 2 layers of protection, tanking the boss would be much easier. The silver-armored scorpion appeared with its stats on display. It was as an elite defensive beast with absolute loyalty, but its loyalty dropped every time it died. Once it reached 0, it would betray its master. Its level was still low, but its defense and HP were outstanding for this stage. The moment it was summoned, its fierce aura spread across the battlefield. Zhang Yue looked ahead and quietly said, "Here it comes." From the darkness emerged the berserk wild boar king. Its body was blood red, its tusks razor sharp, and its killing intent locked onto the 2 of them. Zhang Yue immediately ordered the silver-armored scorpion to charge first. The boss information appeared. Level 10, physical type, 2-star attribute, nearly 10,000 HP, and skills including charge, stomp, and berserk. It was the first world's gatekeeper that everyone had to defeat. Don't worry, this time will be different. 41 tried to calm herself, but the memories of past failures still haunted her. Many challengers had fallen at this very stage. Zhang Yue noticed the fear in her eyes. He understood that this boss had left a deep psychological scar. He immediately told her to stay behind and focus only on healing the silver-armored scorpion. She did not need to fight on the front line. He would handle the damage himself. The boss let out a deafening roar and charged like an arrow. Its brutal charge skill activated, carrying overwhelming force. Zhang Yue did not dodge. He raised his staff as mana gathered at its tip, and a rank fireball shot forward and exploded on impact, dealing 325 damage directly to the charging boss. The flames slowly faded away. Even after taking the hit, the boss never slowed down. Instead, it became even more ferocious and rushed forward even faster. Zhang Yue calmly remarked that a boss of this level really did have incredible durability. The wild boar roared again and launched another charge. Its twin tusks sliced through the air like giant blades. The silver-armored scorpion rushed in to block it. Its massive claws slammed down with a thunderous crash. It managed to stop the attack, but the impact still knocked it back several meters as its legs dug into the ground to keep its balance. Taking advantage of the opening, Zhang Yue stood behind it and unleashed one fireball after another. A chain of explosions slammed into the boss, forcing it to pause for a moment. He realized that as long as the silver-armored scorpion held the front line, he would have enough space to finish the fight. But the boss quickly flew into a rage and entered berserk mode before launching its strongest charge once again. A devastating ram sent the silver-armored scorpion flying dozens of meters away. The boss stood in the middle of the battlefield, roaring wildly as its eyes stayed locked on its target. Zhang Yue narrowed his eyes as killing intent filled his gaze. This battle would not end as easily as he had expected. The boss charged again with everything it had. Its pressure was even greater than before. 41 shouted for him to dodge, while the injured silver-armored scorpion struggled back to its feet. But Zhang Yue remained perfectly still. His expression never changed, and his eyes looked strangely calculating. He smiled faintly and said, "Just wait a little longer." It was as if he was waiting for the perfect moment to end the battle. Despite its massive body, the wild boar king was incredibly fast. It shot forward like a giant arrow, scattering rocks as it closed in on Zhang Yue. The instant the distance disappeared, Zhang Yue's eyes suddenly changed. He raised the frost staff, unleashing a surge of ice magic, as freezing energy spread across the battlefield. In an instant, the boss was frozen solid. Damage numbers and continuous HP loss effects appeared above its head, showing that the crowd control had taken effect. High-level bosses have 50% crowd control resistance. The freeze won't last long. 41 quickly warned him, her voice full of worry. Just as she predicted, the ice shattered almost immediately. The wild boar king roared furiously as its berserk aura exploded with even greater force, and its speed increased again. This is bad. It has entered frenzy. She tightened her grip on her staff, remembering that the boss would soon use its deadly stomp skill. The silver-armored scorpion charged forward once more, using its massive claws to block the wild boar king's attack head-on. Dust and shattered rocks filled the air, as both sides struggled in the center of the battlefield without giving an inch. Heal it now. The silver-armored scorpion won't hold much longer. Zhang Yue kept attacking while shouting the order. Even with buffs, a level 8 beast could barely withstand a level 10 boss. Got it. 41 immediately cast her healing spell as streams of light flew toward the scorpion. The healing light covered the silver-armored scorpion, allowing it to hold its ground against the boss' razor-sharp tusks. Even with constant healing, she knew they could not keep this up much longer. Jiang Ye remained unusually calm. He said they only needed to buy a little more time, as his staff gathered both ice and fire energy. A cold gleam flashed across his eyes as waves of icy power rained down. A barrage of frost strikes slammed into the boss, forcing it under another crowd control effect. Right after that, another high-level fireball condensed inside his staff, ready for the next burst. Even a level 10 2-star boss with superior stats could not withstand the non-stop combo of ice and fire attacks. The wild boar king roared in agony as its body was engulfed by freezing ice and blazing flames, falling into complete chaos. The flames surrounding Jiang Yue flared even higher as his staff locked onto its final target. A massive fireball shot forward and pierced straight through the immobilized boss. 41 watched in disbelief. It was her first time seeing someone weave two elemental skills together so flawlessly. In just a few minutes, the entire battle had turned around, leaving the wild boar king with no chance to fight back. Its massive body crashed to the ground before them, bringing the battle to an end. The system announced the defeat of the level 10 2-star boss, the Berserk Wild Boar King. Jiang Yue received the full rewards, including a huge amount of EXP, energy, and currency. Loot poured onto the ground, including silver coins, crafting materials, boss meat, and the Berserk skill book, which traded defense for a short burst of extra damage. There were also several rare pieces of equipment, including armor and rings with life steal and combat stat bonuses. After checking the loot, Jiang Yue quickly sorted everything. The unnecessary items would be sold or discarded, while the skill book would be saved for future combat or one of his summoned beasts. At that moment, a beam of system light surrounded 41. A notification left her completely stunned. Her calamity body had been lifted, and her class had evolved into the epic forbidden mage. She stood frozen, unable to believe that the fate once treated as a curse had completely changed, raising her to an even higher class. While she was still overwhelmed, a worldwide announcement echoed across the system. The system announced that players Ling and Su Jinyan had defeated the world boss and cleared the first world, Nightmare Origin. The news instantly shocked every player because the clear time was unbelievably fast, and only 2 names appeared on the list. As soon as Su Jinyan's name appeared, everyone started talking. Many insisted she was just a calamity mage who could barely fight, meaning someone else had to carry the entire battle. That could only mean an incredibly powerful player had defeated the world boss alone. Before the discussion could settle down, a spatial portal opened beside Jiang Yu and 41. A new system message appeared. The first world had been cleared, and the path to the second world was now open. Players were instructed to prepare for the next stage. The system revealed 2 portals. The red gate led to the second world, while the blue gate returned to the previous world. Jiang Yue decided not to move forward yet. He wanted to settle his resources and basic needs first. With that in mind, he chose the blue portal. Seeing him turn away, 41 hurriedly asked where he was going. Jiang Yue casually replied that he was going to collect the payment from her sister. She watched him step through the portal, her mind still struggling to process everything. Only then did she finally realize that the man before her was Ling, the mysterious player who had single-handedly cleared the first world. Back in the real world, inside the Su Corporation headquarters in the center of Linhai City, the atmosphere was as cold and imposing as any major corporation. A blue-haired woman in a business suit, carrying the presence of a top executive, stood by the window when her assistant entered to report an incoming call. On the other end, Jiang Yue got straight to the point. The mission was complete, and all that remained was transferring the agreed payment. The woman stayed silent for a few seconds before replying that she would verify the information first, and asked him to wait. After hanging up, she leaned back in her chair with a cold expression. The speed of the whole process made her suspect it might be some kind of scam. Just then, the office door opened, and Su Jinyan walked in with a bright smile, announcing that she had succeeded. It had been years since she had seen her younger sister this happy. The woman immediately sensed something unusual. After confirming the truth, she could hardly believe it. Su Jinyan had not only broken free from the calamity body, but had also evolved into an epic class. The moment she heard the word epic, the female director completely changed her attitude. She was thrilled and convinced that a powerful team must have carried her sister through the trial. But Su Jinyan calmly raised one finger and said only one person had helped her from start to finish. The woman froze and asked again, unable to believe what she had just heard. She immediately turned to her computer and checked the records with a serious expression. After confirming the data, she realized the person who helped her sister was Ling, the mysterious player shaking the entire internet. On the class advancement forum, everyone was talking about the first world's record being shattered by the mysterious powerhouse known as Ling. The two players had set a brand new record and were expected to become the first to enter the second world this year, a feat that could reshape the future of the Dragon Nation. The director immediately called an executive meeting and declared that they had to recruit the force behind Yanyu Pavilion at any cost. Meanwhile, Zhang Yue received a call from the hospital confirming the payment had arrived. They also reminded him that 41 still needed long-term treatment, which would require significant monthly expenses. After hearing the update, he simply frowned and said he understood, but told the hospital to continue giving her the best care as agreed. After hanging up, Zhang Yue fell into deep thought. Even as one of the strongest experts in the Dragon Nation, he was still being held back by money. He suddenly remembered Liu Yao's earlier job offer, with a monthly salary of 50,000. If he had accepted it, he would not be struggling financially now. The thought left him feeling slightly regretful. While he was still thinking, his phone rang again. He answered without hesitation. A cold but composed female voice introduced herself as a representative of Yanyu Pavilion and invited him to join the guild. Inside the Su Corporation meeting room, several senior executives listened to the call. Su Jinya continued explaining the offer. Yanyu Pavilion provided full benefits, insurance, a base salary of 30,000 per month, plus performance bonuses. Zhang Yue smiled faintly after hearing the offer. The timing could not have been better. Without any hesitation, he accepted. The people on the other end were briefly stunned, clearly not expecting such a quick answer. He then added one condition. He would only participate in important missions or major guild activities. Otherwise, the guild could not interfere with his personal life or limit his freedom. To let everyone in the meeting hear clearly, Su Jinya turned on the speakerphone. One senior executive immediately objected, arguing that guild members had to serve the guild and could not demand complete freedom. Zhang Yue listened, rejected the argument on the spot, said there was nothing more to discuss, and hung up without another word. The sudden silence after the call left the entire meeting room speechless. Chairman Su Shen immediately asked Su Jinya if this was really the person she insisted on recruiting at any cost. The board members also voiced concerns, saying his attitude was disrespectful and could become a risk for the guild. But Su Jinya stressed his true value. He had cleared the first world in less than half a day and broken a record that had stood for centuries. A talent like that was incredibly rare and had to be secured. While Chairman Su Shen was still considering the matter, she stood up and firmly declared that his ability was worth every concession. She proposed accepting all of his conditions for now, bringing him into the guild first, as long as he agreed to participate when truly needed. After a lengthy discussion, Chairman Su Shen finally gave in, but warned that if Zhang Yue ever became uncontrollable, he would deal with him personally. Meanwhile, Zhang Yue received yet another phone call. He quickly evaluated the new guild. It ranked among the top 5 in the entire Zhening province. While it was weaker than Jizun Guild, it was more than enough to solve his current financial problems, especially the cost of medicine. As soon as he ended that call, his phone rang once again. This time it was Su Jinya calling back. She confirmed that the guild had accepted all of his conditions and asked when he could officially register. Zhang Yue gave a simple reply. He would work remotely and had no need to visit the headquarters since everyone entered the other world from wherever they were. Su Jinya paused for a moment and asked again just to make sure. She immediately agreed without the slightest delay, afraid he might change his mind. Just like that, Zhang Yue officially joined Yanyu Pavilion. He considered the guild easy to work with, and any income he needed could be earned inside the other world. With everything settled, he opened the teleport interface and prepared to enter the other world again. The system displayed 2 choices, the first world and the second world. He confirmed his entry into the second world. A beam of teleportation light engulfed him, and his figure disappeared. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself in a bustling city, yet the air carried an unsettling sense of danger. The system announced, "Welcome to the second world, Zombie Siege. Your current spawn point is the safe zone of Norden City. The world mission activated. Survive the zombie apocalypse, defend the city from incoming hordes, clear 1 dungeon, and participate in 3 zombie waves. Completing these objectives would unlock the second world boss and the next world." Zhang Yue quickly analyzed the mission. The dungeon required at least level 15, and his strength was not stable enough yet, so leveling up came first. The zombie waves could wait for the right moment. He immediately left the safe zone and headed toward the western gate just as an alarm sounded. The second zombie wave was about to begin, and all survivors were ordered to take their battle positions. Soldiers crowded the city wall, fully prepared for combat. A heavily armored captain named Nuo Sen commanded the defense. shouting orders non-stop. He complained that the endless zombie assaults were draining their weapon supplies and making the city's defense harder every day. Even as one of the world's level 2 safe zones, Norden City suffered constant zombie attacks, keeping everyone under relentless pressure. Zhang Yue walked straight to Nuo Sen's and started the dialogue. He volunteered to eliminate the mutated zombies in the Western District, while gathering materials to craft and replenish weapons for the city's defenses. This was no random choice. He had already planned to accept this mission. Although the city offered more than a dozen quests, this one covered a huge area with monsters from levels 11 to 20, making it perfect for farming both EXP and resources. The system immediately confirmed the mission. High difficulty resource collection, difficulty multiplier 200. Eliminate mutated zombies in the Western District and collect large quantities of fire, ice, and poison energy cores. Rewards included massive EXP, silver coins, energy, random equipment, and even a chance to obtain skills or pets. It was considered one of the most rewarding quests in Norden City. Completing it could greatly speed up progress through the Second World. Zhang Yue accepted without hesitation. Nuo Sen was overjoyed and repeatedly thanked him for stepping forward to help. After taking the quest, Zhang Yue left the city. Outside lay a ruined wasteland filled with blood, corpses, and collapsed buildings. Mindless zombies wandered everywhere, growling among the rubble. The outskirts showed almost no signs of life. Only dried blood and battle scars remained. Among the ruins, several mutated zombies with flames burning across their bodies came into Zhang Yue's view. The system identified them as level 11 flame zombies, magic-type monsters. They could breathe fire, create fire shields, and even grow stronger when struck by fire attacks, making fire magic far less effective. Zhang Yue immediately deployed for battle. He summoned the silver-armored scorpion and equipped his main weapon, the Frostbreaker staff. He launched a powerful fireball that struck the target, dealing heavy damage while triggering an additional frost effect. The damage numbers appeared above the zombie as it staggered from the impact. The flame zombie roared in fury and retaliated by hurling a blazing fireball at him. The silver-armored scorpion instantly rushed forward to intercept the attack, swinging its massive claws to form the front line. Its damage was not enough to break through the zombie's defenses, dealing little more than a taunt, but it successfully pulled all of the monster's aggro. Zhang Yue quickly realized that his fire attacks were being countered by the zombie's fire affinity, greatly reducing their effectiveness. He immediately changed tactics and switched to an ice-based strategy instead. He gripped the Frostbreaker staff as his gaze turned cold, preparing for the next assault. At the same time, he ordered the silver-armored scorpion to keep holding aggro and prevent the zombie from changing targets. The silver-armored scorpion charged forward again, locking both of the flame zombie's arms with its giant claws and pinning it in place. Thanks to its defensive gear, protective skills, and life-steal effects, the silver-armored scorpion could withstand the attacks of a level 11 monster, becoming a reliable shield for Zhang Yue. Watching them work together, even Zhang Yue admitted the coordination was excellent. One held the enemy, while the other focused entirely on dealing damage. He raised the frost staff high as freezing energy spread across the battlefield, preparing for the finishing phase. He unleashed a rapid series of ice spells and basic attacks, beginning a relentless assault that completely suppressed the flame zombie with freezing power. A loud explosion echoed across the battlefield as icy energy erupted around the flame zombie. The flames covering its body instantly froze solid, leaving it completely encased in ice. The system announced, Level 11 Flame Zombie defeated. Rewards, 50 EXP and 110,000 energy. After the monster fell, it only dropped a few silver coins, about 5 in total, with nothing else of real value. Zhang Yue picked up the coins and continued clearing the area by wiping out the remaining flame zombies. Monsters in this camp ranged from levels 11 to 13, each one rewarded around 50 to 60 EXP, over 100,000 energy, and a small amount of silver. Even the highest level monsters posed little threat to Zhang Yue. The problem was the terrible core drop rate. Only about 1 in 5 zombies dropped a fire core. After one full sweep, he had only reached level 11. He spent the entire afternoon clearing the camp, killing more than 300 monsters, yet collected only a little over 50 fire cores. The EXP gain was solid, but the loot was disappointing. Feeling tired, he paused the mission to get something to eat, planning to return and continue farming that evening. Just as he was about to leave the patrol zone, a thunderous roar echoed from deep inside the camp. The ground trembled slightly. It was clearly not an ordinary monster. Zhang Yue stopped, his eyes lighting up with interest before heading toward the source of the sound. After passing through the flame zombie territory, he reached the border between the fire and ice zones. Just as he expected, a Lord-class monster had appeared. Standing before him was a gigantic zombie over 30 meters tall. The left half of its body was covered in ice, while the right half burned with raging flames. It was the level 14 Ice Fire Zombie Commander, a magic-type lord. Its detailed stats appeared. Attack 258, Physical Defense 170, Magic Defense 180, over 4,000 HP, and mastery of both fire and ice skills, including Fireball, Fire Shield, Ice Spear, and Frost Domain. It was an exceptionally rare and dangerous dual-element boss. A boss like this was bound to have valuable loot. The chance of dropping rare equipment or skills was extremely high, exactly what Zhang Yue needed after an afternoon of poor rewards. Thinking of that, he smiled faintly and walked straight toward the Lord. Zhang Yue immediately drew the Frostbreaker staff. He steadily closed the distance. The Ice Fire Commander instantly noticed him, turned around, and let out an intimidating roar as its Lord aura erupted. Frost rapidly spread across the ground beneath its feet, expanding into a freezing field. Even from more than 30 meters away, Zhang Yue was affected as thick ice instantly locked both of his legs in place. Without wasting a second, the boss condensed a massive ice spear and rushed forward at incredible speed, leaving almost no time to react. Temporarily immobilized, Zhang Yue could not dodge. The ice spear struck him directly, dealing more than 350 damage and cutting deeply into his HP. He immediately rolled away to avoid the next attack. The moment he recovered, he fired a rapid combo of fireballs and ice pillars in return. Both spells slammed into the boss as alternating fire and ice damage numbers appeared above its head, but the overall effect was far from impressive. Zhang Yue frowned. The boss possessed both fire and ice attributes, greatly reducing the effectiveness of his elemental attacks. It was almost a perfect counter to his current build. The boss hurled another ice spear. Zhang Yue dodged and summoned the silver-armored scorpion for support, but even the summon struggled under the pressure. Just a few fireballs from the boss cut nearly on a third of its HP. Zhang Yue muttered to himself, realizing this battle was on an entirely different level from anything he had faced before. The Ice Fire Commander raised both arms, preparing an even stronger counterattack. The battlefield was instantly swallowed by freezing energy as the zombie commander activated a massive frost domain. Countless razor-sharp ice spears emerged from the glowing magic circle. A rain of icy spikes crashed down from above, slamming into the silver-armored scorpion. Damage numbers around 60 to 70 appeared one after another. In moments, its HP was completely depleted, and the giant beast collapsed. The system immediately announced that the silver-armored scorpion had fallen. It should have suffered delayed resurrection, level loss, and reduced loyalty. However, thanks to Zhang Yue's necromancer effect, it would automatically revive after 1 hour, with all death penalties removed. Only then did Zhang Yue realize he had badly underestimated the boss. After killing his summon, the zombie commander immediately switched its focus to him, unleashing more ice spears that froze both of his legs again. Trapped in place, Zhang Yue watched the boss charge toward him as his expression turned serious. Compared to the bosses from the previous world, this one was on a completely different level. Just as the zombie commander was about to reach him, a purple bolt of lightning tore through the sky and slammed into the boss, dealing damage and pinning it in place. A female mage in flowing robes appeared beside Zhang Yue, holding a staff glowing with blue light. Her delicate features and striking presence felt strangely familiar at first glance. The woman known as 40 Wan glanced at Zhang Yue and calmly said she would handle the crowd control while he focused on dealing damage. Her voice confirmed exactly who she was. The moment the control effect began to fade, Zhang Yue tightened his grip on his staff and prepared to strike back. He unleashed consecutive ice and fire spells, pouring damage into the zombie commander. As soon as it broke free, it was frozen all over again, forcing Zhang Yue to maintain constant pressure. The instant the restraint ended, the monster let out a furious roar as its terrifying aura erupted once more. Before it could recover, Su Jinyan hit it with another fireball, throwing it right back into another control effect. Seeing that even her fireball could restrain enemies, Zhang Yue looked at Su Jinyan with clear surprise. She immediately activated another unique mage skill, layering an additional control effect onto the zombie commander. One crowd control skill followed another without leaving a single opening, leaving the boss almost completely helpless. Only then did Zhang Yue truly realize how overwhelming an epic forbidden mage could be. 3 different control skills could be chained endlessly, while his own skill set was still far too limited. Thinking about it, it made perfect sense. Su Jinyan was the vice leader of a major guild, with access to resources and skills far beyond those of ordinary players. Taking advantage of the boss being locked down, Zhang Yue unleashed everything he had. Damage numbers exploded non-stop as burn, critical hits, and freeze effects piled onto the zombie commander. Their teamwork rapidly drained the boss HP. The key was Su Jinyan's relentless crowd control. The zombie commander barely had a chance to act, allowing Zhang Yue to attack without interruption. In only a short time, the two of them worked together to defeat the zombie commander. The system immediately announced their victory, confirming that both players had defeated the level 14 boss and received the appropriate EXP and rewards, with the finishing blow and party distribution calculated separately. After the battle, Zhang Yue walked over to collect the loot. He suggested splitting the rewards fairly with 40 Yuan to repay her help. 40 Yuan shook her head and refused. She explained that she had only happened to pass by while doing another quest, and reminded him that he had already helped her clear her own trial before, so there was no need to keep score. Zhang Yue replied that her sister had already paid him in full. 40 Yuan smiled and answered that was between him and her sister, not between the two of them. As they caught their breath, Su Jinyan quietly introduced herself and naturally asked for his name. Zhang Yue simply turned around, introduced himself, and offered a casual handshake. After a brief conversation, Su Jinyan suggested they work together long-term since their quests followed the same route. Teaming up would make farming much faster. Zhang Yue immediately asked about her class. At the mention of her class, Su Jinyan's eyes lit up. Every one of her skills had evolved into powerful ceiling effects, extending crowd control by 30%, adding 1 extra second of hard stun, and greatly reducing all cooldowns. Hearing that, Zhang Yue instantly understood why her ability to lock down enemies was so terrifying. Fighting together would dramatically increase their farming speed. After that, he did not stay long. He turned to leave, saying he needed to take care of something in Nordzen City, and would return in about 10 minutes, so they could form a party and continue hunting monsters. Watching Zhang Yue walk away, Su Jinyan suddenly felt her face grow warm. She remembered the promise she had once made to marry the person who could free her from her cursed fate. The thought embarrassed her immediately, and she quietly scolded herself for even thinking about it. Meanwhile, Zhang Yue returned to Norden City to inspect the loot from the battle. He had obtained several pieces of equipment along with a skill book. Among them was a 2-star item called Icefire Swiftness. It increased both defense and overall attributes, and every attack temporarily granted 10 points of agility for several seconds. The effect was unusual, but extremely useful for improving his mobility. After reviewing everything, Zhang Yue decided that his next priority was obtaining more high-burst damage skills. Without wasting a second, Zhang Yue pulled out a skill book and spent a huge amount of stored energy to unlock his third skill. It turned into an A-rank skill called Super Flame Missile, summoning 3 fireballs that slammed into the target, each dealing 110 magic damage, costing 72 mana with a 5-second cooldown. After testing it once, Zhang Yue nodded in satisfaction, as his attack rhythm felt much faster. With the new skill and his current speed, he was sure the next monsters would barely have a chance to touch him. Right then, the system notification suddenly rang with a new message. It was an invitation from Su Ya to join the Yanyu Pavilion Guild. After a brief thought, Zhang Yue accepted and officially became a member. With everything ready, his gear secured, and his skills taking shape, he immediately returned to the battlefield to continue the mission. Back in the other world, Zhang Yue quickly locked onto a level 12 flame zombie and unleashed a rapid chain of ice and fire skills, flooding the target with non-stop damage. A single short combo was enough to erase the level 12 monster before it could fight back. Su Jinyan watched the entire fight in stunned silence before admitting Zhang Yue was far stronger than she had imagined, while Zhang Yue also recognized that she worked well as a teammate. After hearing that all her equipment came from her older sister, Zhang Yue could not help but admire it. Top-tier gear really made a huge difference when the resources were there. Su Jinyan suddenly asked if he was hiding his true power or using some rare equipment because his damage output was far beyond normal. Zhang Yue calmly replied that he was a mythic-class profession holder, so he did not rely entirely on equipment. She immediately rejected the claim because, in her understanding, a mythic profession should come with a special awakening phenomenon, yet nothing like that had appeared. Zhang Yue did not explain further, and simply said she could believe it or not. Seeing he had no intention of saying more, Su Jinyan dropped the topic, and the two continued hunting monsters together. After finishing the collection objective, they headed to the next mission west of Nading City, where mutated zombies had occupied the area. They needed to eliminate monsters and collect enough fire, ice, and poison zombie cores for experience, gold, and random equipment rewards. At the same time, the Yanyu Pavilion Guild's system issued an urgent notice ordering every member to gather at the designated street within 10 minutes. Anyone absent would be expelled immediately without exception. Seeing the forceful announcement, Su Jinyan frowned in confusion, while Zhang Yue also wondered what Chen Jin was trying to pull with such an overbearing order. Su Jinyan explained that Chen Jun was the branch leader of Yanyu Pavilion in Linhai and had family ties with the Su family. He had gained the position through arrangements made by the elders. After hearing that, Zhang Yue only gave a faint smile, asked nothing more, and left the defensive camp with her to head toward the guild's meeting point. In the northern wilderness outside Nading City, a mutated frost zombie suddenly let out a furious roar, spreading a savage aura across the battlefield. It slammed both hands into the ground, splitting the earth apart as rocks exploded everywhere, and the shockwave blasted nearby profession holders into the air. Many were struck before they could recover, their bodies thrown backward, as if the entire formation had been shattered. The battlefield had fallen into complete chaos. One faction focused on attacking the boss, while several other groups rushed in to compete, making the situation even more confusing. Liu Yao, the leader of one faction, roared in anger that Yanyu Pavilion had discovered the boss first, and the other group was openly stealing it. Facing them were members of the Supreme Guild, acting with complete arrogance, and even ordering the destruction of Yanyu Pavilion, because they believed the two sides were not on the same level. Just as both sides were about to clash, waves of fire suddenly rained down from the sky and slammed into the Supreme Guild formation, instantly breaking it apart. Before the Supreme Guild could react, chaos swept through their ranks, and the entire formation collapsed in an instant. Liu Yao shouted in fury as his eyes scanned the battlefield for whoever had just ruined his plans. Amid the tense standoff, the heavy sound of iron boots echoed across the field as a lone figure slowly walked into the battlefield. When Liu Yao realized the newcomer was Zhang Yue, he froze for a moment before curling his lips into a mocking grin, clearly surprised as he threw out a taunt about fighting over the boss. Before things escalated, the story jumped back about an hour to when the frost zombie first appeared in the wilderness and threw the area into chaos. At that time, Yanyu Pavilion had already formed an assault team, bombarding the boss with arrows and long-range skills. The boss was simply too strong. A single swing sent multiple players flying and shattered their formation again and again. One member nervously said that without a control mage, getting close to the boss was almost impossible. Standing in the rear, Chen Jun kept reassuring everyone, saying they only had to hold the line until Su Jinyan arrived. Right then, Zhang Yue and Su Jinyan entered the battle zone and appeared in the middle of the chaotic battlefield. Their arrival immediately sparked discussion. Su Jinyan drew plenty of attention, while Zhang Yue was dismissed as nothing more than the guy accompanying her. Hearing the gossip, Su Jinyan quietly told Zhang Yue not to mind it, and added that she was not as cold as the rumors claimed. Zhang Yue simply gave a calm reply. His reaction only made her feel awkward, and the more she thought about what she had said, the more embarrassed she became as her face turned slightly red. At that moment, Chen Jun walked over with a cheerful smile and warmly welcomed Su Jinyan as if he had been waiting for her. But the moment he noticed Zhang Yue beside her, his expression changed as he questioned the identity of the man with her. Su Jinyan immediately shut him down, saying who she chose to travel with was none of his business. Chen Jin quickly made excuses about guild safety, while Zhang Yue realized she was far tougher than she looked. She then turned around and directly asked about the guild's mission. A nearby assassin explained that a mutation had appeared behind the corpse field, and signs pointed to the emergence of a zombie king boss. The moment she heard zombie king, Su Jinyan narrowed her eyes and became noticeably more serious. Defeating the zombie king was considered a critical mission because of the massive rewards and reputation it would bring. Zhang Yue nodded and agreed to join. But just as the group was about to leave, Chen Jun suddenly raised a hand to stop them and coldly ordered Zhang Yue not to participate. Chen Jun immediately looked down on Zhang Yue, mocking him as an ordinary beast tamer who was unworthy of joining the guild mission. His words also revealed obvious personal hostility, especially because Zhang Yue was with Su Jinyan. The people around him quickly joined in to flatter the guild leader. In their eyes, beast tamers were already weak, and with Zhang Yu's unimpressive gear, he would only slow the team down and waste resources. Hearing the mockery, Su Jinyan was about to argue back, but Zhang Yue stopped her with a gesture. Calmly accepting the guild leader's decision, he turned to leave. Seeing that, Su Jinyan suddenly stepped forward, grabbed his hand, and declared that if Zhang Yue was not going, then neither was she. Backed into a corner, Chen Jun reluctantly gave in, though he still sounded annoyed. He allowed Zhang Yue to come along, but only as an observer. He was forbidden from fighting, and would have to cover his own revival costs. Chen Jun then led Su Jinyan away, reminding her that the zombie king was waiting for her control skills, while telling Zhang Yue to stay behind. Before leaving, Su Jinyan looked back at him one last time. Watching them leave, Zhang Yue quietly judged that it was only a level 15 boss. With such a large team and Su Jinyan's control abilities, victory was almost guaranteed, making it a good chance to observe the strength of a top guild. Back in the present, Zhang Yue stood alone on the battlefield facing the Supreme Guild, yet his presence was not overshadowed in the slightest. The Supreme Guild members immediately recognized him as a beast tamer, making them even more confused about the overwhelming damage they had just witnessed. Liu Yao stepped forward and directly asked whether Zhang Yue had officially joined Yanyu Pavilion. Beside him, Lin Yuanyi mocked Zhang Yue, saying he had once rejected an invitation from the Supreme Guild, but was now helping their rival instead, leaving her disappointed. The moment she finished speaking, a purple sphere of energy suddenly appeared above her head. It exploded almost instantly. Lin Yuanyi barely managed a single cry before collapsing unconscious on the spot. The attacker was Su Jinyan. After her decisive strike, the battlefield instantly fell much quieter, while Zhang Yue simply let out a faint laugh. At that moment, Liu Yao called out to Zhang Yue once again. He openly tried to recruit him, offering several times the salary of Yanyu Pavilion, a high-ranking position, and even leadership authority within the guild. Hearing that, Su Jinyan grew worried and quickly reacted, afraid Zhang Yue might be tempted by the generous offer. Zhang Yue calmly replied that since he had joined Yanyu Pavilion, he would not switch sides so easily. His answer was enough to put her at ease. Even so, he did not completely close the door, only saying that the future was unpredictable, and they could talk about it another time. Hearing that balanced response, Liu Yao immediately realized there was still hope and welcomed him, saying that the Supreme Guild would always have a place for him. He then decisively ordered his entire team to withdraw from the battlefield. One guild member looked completely confused, wondering why they were leaving when the boss was almost defeated. Liu Yao smacked his subordinate on the head in anger, saying this was a strategic decision, and not something that could be judged by a single boss fight, then repeated the order to retreat. Under his command, every member of the Supreme Guild left the battlefield. Once things settled down, Su Jinyan quietly thanked Zhang Yue for standing by his decision earlier. In the distance, the boss' eyes gradually turned more savage as its killing intent surged. The next moment, the zombie king's massive arm swung down like a giant hammer straight toward them, forcing both of them to dodge in opposite directions. They tightened their grips on their staffs, staring at the enormous arm buried in the ground, as the pressure from the monster grew even heavier. Even after seeing the mountain-like body of the giant monster, Zhang Yue showed no fear. Instead, his excitement only grew stronger. The information window revealed the desolate zombie king, a level 15 2-star physical boss, with extremely high attack and defense, nearly 16,000 HP, deadly area attacks, and overwhelming battlefield control, worthy of a true regional ruler. Zhang Yue lightly spun his bone ice staff, locked onto the target, and calmly walked forward as if he were deliberately closing the distance. The moment he entered range, he unleashed Super Flame Missile. The blazing attack exploded against the boss, landing a massive critical hit that reduced the desolate zombie king's HP to only about 3 points. Everyone in Yanyu Pavilion froze in disbelief. No one could believe that a beast tamer had nearly killed the boss with a single attack. Seeing the perfect opportunity, Zhang Yue glanced at Su Jinyan and signaled her to follow their usual strategy. She nodded immediately. After fighting together for several days, their teamwork had become almost flawless. One focused on crowd control, while the other poured out damage, and together, they fought like a perfectly synchronized machine. As their combined skills landed, a relentless wave of damage erased the boss' remaining health in an instant, ending with one final agonized roar. The gigantic, desolate zombie king finally collapsed to the ground, shaking the entire battlefield. Without wasting a second, Zhang Yue put away his staff, turned around, and walked away without hesitation. The system announced the defeat of the level 15 2-star boss, distributing experience and rewards according to participation, damage dealt, and the finishing blow. Everyone in Yanyu Pavilion was left utterly stunned, unable to understand who Zhang Yue really was, after watching him drive away the Supreme Guild and practically solo the boss. After everything was over, Su Jinyan smiled and thanked him for helping the guild secure such an important boss, while Zhang Yue simply replied that it was part of the mission. Only then did everyone truly realize how important Zhang Yue was, and the way they looked at him completely changed. A while later, the group returned to Nading City. As they entered the city, they were still discussing the battle when a voice suddenly stopped them. Chen Jun appeared and immediately questioned them about the boss fight and the mission results. A guild member quickly reported that Zhang Yue and Su Jinyan had not only defeated the boss, but had also driven away the Supreme Guild. Chen Jun could hardly believe what he heard. Several others confirmed they had witnessed Zhang Yu's overwhelming strength with their own eyes, proving he was nothing like the weak fighter Chen Jun's had assumed. After recovering from the shock, Chen Jin suddenly changed his attitude and questioned why Zhang Yue had not acted sooner, instead of waiting until the situation became so dangerous. He immediately accused Zhang Yue of deliberately disobeying guild orders and declared that he had the authority to expel him from Yanyu Pavilion. Zhang Yue stayed calm and casually grabbed the finger that was pointing at him. He reminded everyone that the guild leader himself had forbidden him from joining the fight from the very beginning. He added that the mission was simply to defeat the boss, and since that goal had been achieved, the rest was not worth arguing about. Another guild member stepped forward and confirmed that without Zhang Yue, the mission would have failed long ago, and the entire team might have been wiped out. His contribution was undeniable. Those words left Chen Jun speechless with no argument left to make. Su Jinyan immediately took Zhang Yue's hand and led him away, unwilling to waste any more time arguing with the guild leader. Chen Jun's expression darkened as his frustration grew, and he immediately ordered someone to keep Zhang Yue under surveillance. His subordinate accepted the order and quickly left to carry out the task. Meanwhile, Zhang Yue and Su Jinyan returned to the wilderness outside Nading City and headed straight for the area where poison zombies had been reported. The moment they arrived, a thick rotten stench filled the air, making both of them frown at the polluted surroundings. Zhang Yue warned that these poison zombies were far more troublesome than the previous types and required extra caution. Su Jinyan asked whether their damage was especially high, and Zhang Yue explained that their greatest threat was not raw damage, but an extremely dangerous special skill. Before the battle began, the system displayed the information for the mutated deadly poison zombie, a level 17 magic-type monster, with average attack and defense, high HP, and a unique poison effect that dealt damage over time for several seconds, and was nearly impossible to remove. After hearing the detailed description, Su Jinyan became briefly distracted as if she were thinking about something else. Zhang Yue calmly said that as long as healing arrived in time, this poison was not too frightening, bringing her attention back immediately. A moment later, she suddenly remembered something important and was about to speak. She took out a pair of silver-gray bracers from the mission storage and handed them to Zhang Yue as the guild's reward for his contribution. After accepting the reward, they wasted no time and immediately resumed the mission with their usual roles, one controlling the enemies while the other focused on damage. As the battle started, a purple ring of energy instantly wrapped around the poison zombie and completely immobilized it. Right then, Su Jinyan called out, signaling the perfect moment to attack, allowing Zhang Yue to unleash his full combo. Taking advantage of the opening, Zhang Yue chained together ice and fire skills, flooding the target with non-stop damage until the monster's entire health bar vanished within moments. The sight left Su Jinyan frozen for several seconds, amazed by how quickly and cleanly the fight ended. Zhang Yue simply replied that clearing monsters became much easier with someone providing crowd control. As night fell, Zhang Yue began to sense that someone was secretly watching him from a distance. Elsewhere in the darkness, a member of Yanyu Pavilion was reporting the surveillance results to his superior. The report stated that Zhang Yue and Su Jinyan were currently gathering mission materials together, working closely as a team, and constantly coordinating during combat. Hearing this, Chen Jin flew into a rage, especially after learning that Su Jinyan had not treated anyone else so warmly since her profession awakening. Someone beside him even suggested removing Zhang Yue from the guild to break their connection. Just then, an urgent system announcement echoed across the entire region. The warning stated that within 30 minutes, a level 13 zombie tide would attack Nading City, and all profession holders were ordered to prepare for the city's defense. Seeing the announcement, Chen Jun revealed a cold smile, believing that the perfect opportunity had finally arrived. He was certain he could use the zombie tide to get rid of Zhang Yue without getting his own hands dirty. A subordinate reminded him that the safe zone allowed resurrection, making it difficult to kill another player, but Chen Jun immediately dismissed the concern. He explained that once the zombie tide began, the safe zone rules would be disabled, making it the ideal time to eliminate the target. In another area, zombie corpses were scattered across the ground as the air reeked of death. The battlefield was littered with dropped items and resources after each wave of monsters was defeated. While collecting the loot, Su Jinyan happily noted that the mission was almost complete. They only needed a few more poison zombie cores before the zombie tide began. At that moment, a zombie suddenly lunged forward and bit directly into Zhang Yu's arm. Startled, Su Jinyan immediately raised her staff to strike back and save him. Before she could act, Zhang Yue had already swung his staff and sent the zombie flying. Blood began to drip from the wound on his arm. He pretended to weaken and sat down, saying he had been careless and should return to the city before things got worse, making Su Jinyan worry. Far away in the darkness, a shadow silently watched everything unfold. After that, the two of them returned to Nading City. They reported the collection quest to the NPC captain. The system rewarded them with experience, gold, equipment, and a new skill book, while the massive experience gain pushed both of them through multiple level-ups. Beams of level-up light flashed around them. Zhang Yue jumped 2 levels to level 17, while Su Jinyan also gained 2 levels, greatly increasing her strength. After realizing she had reached level 16 and received 2 new 2-star pieces of equipment, Su Jinyan smiled happily before asking how Zhang Yue was doing. Zhang Yue calmly replied that he had reached level 17, then casually put away the silver armor he had just used in battle. He let out a quiet sigh, feeling a little disappointed that the Beast Tamer class split experience with pets. Otherwise, his level would have been even higher. Seeing that he had not dealt with his new equipment yet, Su Jinyan tilted her head and reminded him to strengthen it before the zombie tide began. Hearing that, Zhang Yue took out all of his new equipment and immediately began refining it. The first result was a level 15 golden armor that greatly boosted HP and constitution while also reducing damage taken from zombies, making it the perfect gear for the zombie tide. Next came a pair of boots of the same quality, increasing physical and magic defense along with strength and durability, greatly improving his survivability against zombies. Looking over his newly completed gear set, Zhang Yue smiled, feeling confident he could handle almost anything the upcoming zombie tide could throw at him. Excited by their progress, Su Jinyan offered to fight the incoming zombie tide alongside him. But at that very moment, she received a message that instantly changed her expression. The message was from Su Shen, telling her to return to the company immediately because of an urgent matter. He also said everyone in the family was waiting and had already sent someone to pick her up. After reading it, she reluctantly told Zhang Yue that she had to leave and would not be able to join him during this zombie tide. Before leaving, she warned him that, although a level 13 zombie tide was not especially difficult, its overwhelming numbers still made it extremely dangerous. Zhang Yue simply nodded and told her not to worry and to take care of her family matters. Su Jinyan then activated her teleportation mark and left the other world. As the zombie tide drew closer, the sky above Nading City became increasingly eerie, with thunder rolling overhead and icy winds sweeping across the city. More than 20,000 profession holders gathered throughout the city as a tense silence settled over everyone, waiting for the battle to begin. The system officially announced the start of the zombie tide. During the event, no one could leave the other world. The city's protection system was disabled, and defeating at least 50 zombies would count as meeting the completion requirement. In the distance, the roars of countless undead echoed through the air, signaling the massive invasion. The zombie tide officially erupted as hordes of zombies charged all 4 city gates at once. The profession holders rushed out to meet them, but despite the similar levels, the endless numbers overwhelmed many fighters, and casualties quickly began to mount. At the western gate, Zhang Yue single-handedly held back the wave of level 13 zombies. His level 17 damage was overwhelming, preventing any monster from getting close. He calmly calculated that the zombie tide would last about an hour before retreating on its own, and once he reached 50 kills, he could take a break. In a short time, he completed the required kills. Just as he was about to head back into the city, a desperate message appeared in the guild channel from the northern gate, where several guild members were trapped and surrounded. Seeing that the request specifically called for him, Zhang Yue smiled faintly and immediately replied that he was on his way. The moment he closed the guild notification, Zhang Yue headed straight for the northern gate. When he arrived, the scene matched his expectations. The walls had been breached, zombies poured in like a flood, and a group of profession holders was cornered in a narrow alley, desperately trying to survive. Not far from the battlefield, several figures stood by the windows of a tall building, watching everything unfold. Their eyes remained fixed on Zhang Yue, as if waiting for their prey to walk into the trap. Chen Jin stood with his arms crossed before the window, looking down with a cold smile. He believed Zhang Yue was simply too overconfident, and once he entered the plan, there would be no escape. He also confirmed that his subordinate's report about Zhang Yue's weak defense was completely accurate. Chen Jun continued explaining that he had already positioned 10 level 12 archers in ambush inside the alley. Once they received the signal, they would unleash a coordinated volley powerful enough to burst down and kill Zhang Yue on the spot. In his mind, once Zhang Yue was killed here, he would be camped at the respawn point and never get a chance to fight back. Chen Jun glared with pure hatred, clenched his fists, and declared that Su Jinyan was his target alone. Down on the battlefield, Zhang Yue calmly walked into the alley, stepping over zombie corpses without a care. The moment he entered the ambush zone, arrows rained in from both sides and sealed every escape route. In that instant, Zhang Yue summoned the silver-armored scorpion. Its steel-like shell blocked every arrow without letting a single one through. The shocking scene left the ambushers frozen. To them, a beast tamer should never have such incredible defense. The system immediately warned that another player had launched a malicious attack, granting Zhang Yue the right to retaliate without gaining crime points. Standing behind the scorpion, Zhang Yue's eyes turned cold. He asked if the ambush was over because now it was his turn. The battle erupted at once. To the disbelief of everyone in Yanyu Pavilion, Zhang Yue barely used any skills and wiped out the level 112 archers with basic attacks alone. The silver-armored scorpion did not stay idle either. One sweep sent 2 enemies flying and killed them on the spot. Death notifications filled the system as bursts of white light flashed across the narrow alley. In just moments, all of the ambushing archers were completely wiped out. From the upper floor, Chen Jun watched everything in stunned silence as his entire plan collapsed in an instant. He grabbed one of his subordinates by the collar and angrily blamed him for the false report about Zhang Yue's defense. At that moment, a massive explosion shattered the second-floor window as a fireball blasted into the room. Through the thick smoke, a lone figure stepped forward with an icy aura that filled the room. Zhang Yue appeared with killing intent in his eyes and said this kind of trap could never stop him. Seeing Zhang Yue suddenly standing before him, Chen Jun panicked but forced himself to ask what he wanted. Zhang Yue gave a cold smile and brought up the surveillance and ambush, prepared after the Corpse King boss was defeated, saying it had all been aimed at him. Only then did Chen Jin realize the truth. Zhang Yue had acted weak on purpose to lure him into the trap. With his scheme exposed, Chen Jin admitted everything and declared that he would kill Zhang Yue right there. Before he could move, Zhang Yue raised his staff and unleashed Ice Spike directly at him. The attack shattered Chen Jun's weapon and threw everyone from Yanyu Pavilion into panic. Someone nearby immediately shouted for everyone to kill Zhang Yue for attempting to assassinate their guild leader. An assassin instantly rushed toward Zhang Yue at incredible speed. Zhang Yue never moved. He simply lifted his staff and fired a fireball. One short explosion was all it took to erase the assassin, without any chance to resist. Chen Jun only caught a flash of white light before freezing in shock. A single attack had killed an elite sanctuary's assassin, but who had done it? Before he could react, another fireball slammed into Chen Jun, engulfing him as his scream echoed before he disappeared. Before the smoke had even cleared, Zhang Yu's gaze grew even colder, and a faint smile appeared, as if warning everyone that he was untouchable. After killing a white name player, the system forcibly revealed Zhang Yu's true ID, identifying him as a level 17 necromancer, while 2 white lights flashed at the respawn point. As the resurrection light faded, the 2 revived players froze in shock. Zhang Yu's identity and level terrified them, reminding them of the man who had cleared the world's first challenge in half a day. They could not understand how a beast tamer had become a necromancer, and even Chen Jun asked in fear. At that moment, every piece finally fit together. Chen Jun trembled with rage as he realized Zhang Yue had hidden his true strength all along, pretending to be weak, and swore eternal revenge. In the real world, inside the Su Corporation building beneath the light night rain, a woman's firm voice declared that she refused. Su Jinyan said, with both frustration and helplessness, that she had never loved Chen Jun. Chen Tianqiang only smiled faintly, saying feelings could grow over time, then presented a long list of gifts, as though everything had already been arranged. He began listing the benefits: an epic energy potion that doubled energy gains for a month, along with a gold enchanted gear set that greatly boosted crowd control. Each item was worth millions and had been gathered by the Chen family at great cost. Chen Tianqiang kept painting a bright future, saying Chen Jun was the sole heir, and that marrying into the Chen family meant unlimited resources. His words sounded more like a forced marriage proposal. Before he could finish, Su Jinyan cut him off and firmly declared that she alone would decide her future. Her response left Chen Tianqiang embarrassed, and his face darkened with frustration. Su Shen immediately spoke in a stern tone, accusing her of being ungrateful after everything the family had invested in her. The atmosphere turned heavy, and even Su Jinya, standing nearby, looked visibly uncomfortable. Su Jinya stepped forward and embraced her younger sister, firmly saying that love was never something to be traded, and no one had the right to choose for her. She gently comforted her sister, telling her to follow her own heart because she would always stand by her side. Hearing that, Su Jinyan finally relaxed and thanked her. Just then, everyone's phone rang at the same time, instantly breaking the tense silence. The news left everyone frozen. Chen Jun had been killed, and the one responsible was Zhang Yue. Chen Tianqiang's expression changed instantly. He slammed his phone down in fury, believing he had already compromised for the Su family, only for his son to be murdered by one of their own. Su Shen tried to stay calm, and quickly said there had to be some misunderstanding. Chen Tianqiang refused to listen. He left behind a cold threat before storming out without giving anyone a chance to explain. Only Su Jinyan and the two members of the Su family remained, as Su Shen spoke again with a grim expression. He questioned their earlier choices and reminded them how much financial support the Chen family had provided every year. Su Jinyan tried to explain that Zhang Yue would never attack a guild member without a reason. Su Shen immediately shouted that Zhang Yue must be brought before the Chen family to kneel and apologize, or they would lose control of everything here. Before the tension could settle, Su Jinya's phone suddenly rang again, interrupting the argument. As soon as the call connected, Su Jinyan urgently asked where Zhang Yue was and whether he had really attacked Chen Jun. The only reply from the other end was short and simple: I resign. Without another explanation, Zhang Yue officially severed all ties with the guild that very day. Su Jinya froze for a few seconds, then quickly introduced herself, stayed calm, and promised to uncover the truth and clear his name. Zhang Yue had no interest in dragging things out. He coldly replied with one final sentence before hanging up and cutting off all contact. Watching everything unfold, Zhang Yue quickly sorted out his thoughts. Since he had already crossed someone like Chen Jun, the guild leader of Yanyu Pavilion, revenge was inevitable. Instead of wasting time explaining, cutting ties completely was the cleanest choice. The monthly medical bill of 50,000 meant he could not afford to stop. Selling materials was his only income, and to obtain better loot, he had to clear the second world as quickly as possible. He still had 2 corpse-tide events and 1 dungeon left to complete before finishing this world's objectives. He opened the world mission interface again. The second world was set in Nordic City during a zombie outbreak. Humanity faced endless mutations, while the undead prepared to siege the city. The mission required defending the city, surviving every corpse tide, clearing the assigned dungeons, and failure meant there would be no second chance. Completing the progress would unlock the teleport to the second world's final boss, and only after defeating it could he enter the third world. After thinking it through, Zhang Yue realized the more dangerous the dungeon, the greater the rewards. At level 17, the level 20 zone behind the zombie territory was already within reach, while level 15 monsters posed no threat. He decided to head for the Tier 2 Corpse Land dungeon, west of Nording City. Not long after leaving the city gates, several groups of players quietly began following him, without hiding their intentions. Before he got very far, another large group suddenly blocked the road. One glance was enough to tell they belonged to Yanyu Pavilion. Zhang Yue coldly spoke a single word: move. Instead of backing away, the group deliberately provoked him, shouting insults, as they tried to force him into attacking first. At first, Zhang Yue thought they had come to throw their lives away. He planned to wait for them to attack first, but he soon realized they were only blocking the road and stalling for time on purpose. Without losing his patience, he calmly asked who was pulling the strings behind them. One assassin answered without hesitation. Chen Jun had paid each of them 5,000 plus a resurrection ticket, with an extra reward for killing Zhang Yue. Hearing that, Zhang Yue instantly understood the real plan. They did not want to kill him outright. They wanted to force crime points onto him, so he would be locked out of the safe zone and boss challenges, trapping him in this world. Just then, another group arrived. Leading them was a wealthy young master escorted by armored knights. He immediately threw out money to recruit the people blocking the road, even doubling the price. The target was Yan Yu Pavilion, and the leader was Liu Liu. The enormous offer left the independent players speechless. No one expected someone to spend so much money, and they stood there unsure of what to do. One man quickly introduced Liu Liu as the eldest young master of Linhai City and the richest player in the region, sending another wave of shock through the crowd. In the next moment, every independent player changed sides. They ran off as if fleeing for their lives, scrambling to accept the new job before anyone else. Liu Liu then turned to Zhang Yue and spoke honestly. He said everyone already knew Yan Yu Pavilion, and Chen Jin were targeting him, leaving him with almost no way out in this world. Zhang Yue simply replied with complete indifference. Liu Yao kept a calm expression, but his eyes shone with interest. He directly invited Zhang Yue to join the Supreme Guild, promising any benefits he wanted and complete protection from Yan Yu Pavilion. After what Yan Yu Pavilion had done behind his back, Zhang Yue no longer trusted any guild. He coldly replied that he had no intention of joining one and walked away. Watching him leave, Liu Yao's assistant complained that Zhang Yue was too arrogant. Liu Yao remained calm instead, saying that attitude only proved Zhang Yue could not be controlled, and that Yan Yu Pavilion had driven away a true talent with their own hands. On the road to the dungeon, Zhang Yue recalled everything Chen Jun had done. The killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. He had planned to avoid further conflict, but now he realized Chen Jun had to be dealt with once and for all. The moment that thought crossed his mind, he changed direction and headed straight toward the level 15 Dark Zombie Nest, southwest of Nording City. Most players ignored this place because it offered fewer rewards than higher level zones. Only weaker or average teams usually came here to level up. Before long, Zhang Yue reached the southwest dungeon entrance. A massive cave sealed by magic stood before him, and beside the dimensional gate waited an NPC mage named Mo En. The NPC spoke in a steady voice and asked whether Zhang Yue wished to enter the Dark Dungeon Challenge. Without hesitation, Zhang Yue accepted and received the entry token from Mo En, ready to enter the dungeon. The token in his hand was the standard key for the level 15 zombie cave. It was single-use, bound to its owner, and could neither be traded nor dropped. Its description also mentioned the extremely rare chance to refine it into a golden token that unlocked a hidden dungeon, though almost no one ever succeeded. Even knowing the odds were incredibly low, and the process consumed valuable resources, Zhang Yue decided to refine the token on the spot, in hopes of unlocking a better hidden dungeon. At the same time, in Nording City, Chen Jun logged back in and immediately led his guild out of the city to continue his plan. But the moment he stepped outside, a crowd of independent players rushed toward him with bloodshot eyes, shouting about a 500,000 reward and charging forward like maniacs chasing money. Everything happened so fast that Chen Jun panicked, stumbled behind a tree, and fell to the ground. Both furious and terrified, he could not understand why the people he had hired were now hunting him instead, and immediately suspected Zhang Yue. Seeing the situation turn bad, one subordinate suggested staying inside the city until the resurrection scroll refreshed to avoid unnecessary risks. Chen Jun gritted his teeth in rage but forced himself to endure, swearing that he would make Zhang Yue pay no matter what. Right then, the system suddenly announced to the entire city that someone had used a golden token to transform the Dark Corpse Land into a hidden dungeon for 20 hours. Special participation rewards were activated, and anyone who died during the event would receive one free resurrection. After hearing the announcement, Chen Jun's panic instantly turned into excitement. He saw it as a golden opportunity to farm the dungeon with free revives, so he immediately gathered his people to claim the rewards. North of Nording City, the desolate outskirts remained filled with the familiar sight of players slaughtering zombies. Lu had just cut down another zombie and wiped the blood from his sword when the system announcement appeared. His eyes lit up with excitement. The free revival mechanic was a huge advantage, especially for players without resurrection scrolls. He immediately ordered the entire Supreme Guild to gather and head for the Dark Corpse Land, and the news quickly spread across Nording City. Meanwhile, inside the Dark Corpse Land, Zhang Yue still held the golden token as he quietly cleared every wave of zombies around him. He knew the second world's mission required clearing a dungeon. Now that it had become a hidden dungeon with free revival rewards, countless players would rush in to compete for it. Right where he stood, the zombie corpses he had just killed began to undergo a strange transformation. Streams of black energy gathered from every corpse and converged into a single point, before a massive zombie-like creature slowly took shape before him. Even so, Jiang Yue paid little attention to its appearance. His focus remained on the plan forming in his mind, and a faint smile crossed his face as everything unfolded under his control. For now, his priority was defeating the Dungeon Guardian, a magic-type Lord Boss ruling the Dark Corpse Land. Its status appeared before him. Level 15, 210 magic attack, 180 physical defense, 120 magic defense, 1,350 HP, with skills including Dark Death Ray, Damage Curse, and Energy Explosion. It was exactly the kind of boss that lurked in the shadows waiting for its prey. Before long, every zombie around the area had been completely wiped out. The boss could not hold on for much longer, and finally collapsed at Jiang Yue's feet. Jiang Yue stepped on the boss' corpse and coldly warned that refusing to cooperate would end no differently than its followers. Just then, the system broadcast a dungeon-wide announcement that a massive number of players were entering the Dark Corpse Land. The free revival mechanic might have been a minor bonus for Chen Jun, but for players without resurrection scrolls, it was an irresistible reward. From a distance, Jiang Yue watched an endless stream of players pour into the dungeon. Among them, he spotted Su Jinyan leading nearly 100 players, while Lulu commanded almost 200 members of the Supreme Guild into the area. Jiang Yue only had one target, so he wanted to keep innocent people out of his plan. He tightened his grip on the golden token and activated the dungeon's editing authority. The system immediately confirmed that the owner of the golden token could modify 3 permission settings within the Dark Corpse Land. At the same time outside the dungeon, Yanyu Pavilion quickly split into 5-man squads. Hundreds of members spread out while clearing zombies along the way. As the teams advanced, Chen Jun reminded Su Jinyan to stay close to him to avoid danger. Su Jinyan felt nothing but frustration. She wanted to search for Jiang Yue, but family pressure forced her to remain with the group. Just as everyone continued moving, the system suddenly announced several dungeon rule changes. Free revival was cancelled. Leaving the dungeon was no longer possible. The crime point system had been altered. The entrance was sealed, and a new objective required killing 500 zombies along with the dungeon's leader. The moment the announcement ended, Chen Jun's face turned pale. He could hardly believe someone had actually rewritten the dungeon's rules. The strategist beside him quickly analyzed the situation, suspecting that Jiang Yue was the one who had activated the golden token, and that this entire dungeon was a carefully planned trap. Chen Jun immediately rejected the idea, insisting there was no way Jiang Yue possessed something that rare or had enough resources to control an entire dungeon. Nearby, Su Jinyan also sensed that something was wrong. Every change seemed aimed at a specific target, but Chen Jun reassured himself that the other party probably only wanted the first clear rewards. Seeing Su Jinyan beside him, Chen Jun became even more eager to show off. He boldly claimed that no matter how the dungeon had changed, he could still protect her and lead her through it, saying that 500 zombies were nothing to him. Su Jinyan could only sneer to herself, wondering how someone like him thought he could lead a team through the dungeon. Yanyu Pavilion pushed deeper into the dungeon. After more than an hour of clearing, they finally reached the goal of 500 zombies. Standing at the center of the formation, Chen Jun confidently declared it was time to kill the boss and claim the first clear reward. But at that exact moment, every member of Yanyu Pavilion froze. Someone had reached the boss before they did. A voice broke the silence. Everyone was stunned. Chen Jun's face darkened, while Su Jinyan lit up with joy as she recognized Jiang Yue. Right before them, Jiang Yue sat on the corpse of the dark zombie lord, whose HP had dropped below 10. Sitting there like a king on his throne, Jiang Yue looked down at the entire Yanyu Pavilion and calmly said he had been waiting for them for a long time. Su Jinyan quickly stepped forward, both surprised and relieved, asking why he was here, because she had been looking for him. Chen Jin pointed straight at Jiang Yue and demanded to know how he had obtained the golden token, insisting it should never have belonged to him. Jiang Yue said nothing. He simply jumped down from the boss corpse with a smooth and decisive motion. Resting the frost staff on his shoulder, Jiang Yue fixed his cold gaze on Chen Jun and brought up their past encounter. Cold sweat instantly covered Chen Jun as he realized he had walked straight into a trap by relying on the dungeon's revival mechanic, and now every advantage had been turned against him. Even so, Chen Jin tried to save face by bringing up the 3 great families of Lin Hai and boasting that even Su Shun had to show him respect. He turned to Su Jinyan and ordered her to use her crowd control skills against Jiang Yue. She coldly refused, saying everything had started because of him, and she would never help someone trying to kill another person without reason. Her answers left Chen Jun completely stunned, his face turning pale as the situation slipped out of his control. He immediately ordered every member of Yanyu Pavilion to attack, but no one moved. They all knew the gap between themselves and Zhang Yue, and many had already seen him solo a boss. Seeing his orders ignored, Chen Jun grew even angrier. He began offering more rewards and reminded everyone about the revival mechanic to push them into fighting. The promise of money and rewards finally shook some of them. They convinced themselves that sheer numbers could overwhelm Zhang Yue. Greed won in the end. Even knowing the danger, they tightened their grips on their weapons, muttered half-hearted apologies, and charged together. Standing alone against the entire Yanyu Pavilion, Zhang Yue showed no fear. Instead, he gave them a cold smile filled with contempt. He knew the dungeon ignored crime points, so this time he could fight without holding back. The purge was about to begin. The moment the vanguard entered his attack range, Zhang Yue raised the frost staff as his casting speed surged. Without hesitation, Zhang Yue unleashed 3 rank skills in rapid succession: Fireball, Ice Spike, and Flame Missile. The 3 attacks exploded across separate targets, dealing massive damage and instantly wiping out 3 level 14 warriors and knights. The system continuously displayed kill notifications for Yanyu Pavilion players, without adding any crime points. Meanwhile, enemies disappeared one after another in flashes of white light, while their attacks against Zhang Yue barely scratched him, dealing only 1 or a few dozen damage. Elsewhere, Chen Jun took advantage of the distraction and led another group around the battlefield, charging straight toward the Dark Zombie Lord in hopes of ending the fight first. But just as they approached, a gigantic silver-armored scorpion dropped from above and blocked their path. The group came to a halt, staring at the unfamiliar creature. A level 14 warrior from Yanyu Pavilion confidently stepped forward, believing it was nothing more than a minor monster. He swung his sword with all his strength against the scorpion's metallic shell, producing a deafening clash of steel. In the next instant, his sword shattered into pieces, while the scorpion's armor showed nothing more than a tiny scratch. The warrior stood frozen in disbelief. The monster's information then appeared. Elite level 15 silver-armored scorpion, equipped with 2-star gold defensive gear. Its durability far exceeded imagination, making it impossible for low-level players to defeat. As the battle remained in chaos, another massive force of players suddenly rushed onto the battlefield from behind. Arrows poured down like rain as a loud shout echoed across the field. Anyone who killed the target would earn a huge reward. Yanyu Pavilion instantly fell into panic, unable to understand why another faction had appeared inside the dungeon. Even Zhang Yue frowned slightly, unsure where the situation was heading. A loud battle cry rang out from behind as the newly arrived force charged forward. They ran straight past Zhang Yue without stopping. Then they crashed directly into Yanyu Pavilion. Leading the charge was Liu Yao, a level 15 sword and shield warrior wearing golden armor. The moment he arrived, he loudly declared that no one was allowed to touch his man and openly stepped in to protect Zhang Yue. Zhang Yue glanced at Liu Yao and let out a quiet sigh, looking slightly helpless. Chen Jun immediately pointed at Liu Yao and demanded to know why he was interfering. Liu Yao calmly replied that he also preferred solving problems with money and wanted to see who could outspend the other. He then turned toward Yanyu Pavilion and raised the bounty to an outrageous amount. Anyone who killed their own guild leader would receive a reward worth 1 million. The moment those words fell, greed and panic spread through Yanyu Pavilion. Chen Jun screamed in anger and threatened everyone with the names of the Chen and Su families. But just as the battlefield reached its peak of chaos, the ground suddenly began to shake violently, as if something beneath it had awakened. The Dark Zombie Lord, whose HP had been below 10, was suddenly struck by an unknown arrow. Its body glowed with a deep crimson light, and the entire battlefield entered emergency status. The system quickly announced that the boss had entered berserk mode after its HP dropped below the critical threshold. Its power would surge as it evolved into a stronger form, leaving every player horrified. The next announcement made things even worse. The Dark Zombie Lord had evolved into a level 17 elite boss, the Dark Zombie Tyrant King. Seconds later, the ground exploded as a devastating shockwave blasted across the battlefield and sent every player flying. Before everyone's eyes stood a colossal boss nearly 78 meters tall, clad in crimson armor with a shield in its left hand and a massive blade in its right, radiating overwhelming pressure throughout the dungeon. Liu Yao stared up at the towering monster, completely frozen. Only one absurd thought remained in his mind. No one had ever told him that dungeon monsters could evolve like this. The dark zombie tyrant king let out a thunderous roar before swinging its massive blade downward with enough force to crush the entire battlefield. The strike unleashed a terrifying shockwave that swept across the area, forcing both Yanyu Pavilion and the Supreme Guild to shield themselves as they were completely overwhelmed. At that moment, the system made another announcement. Because the Dungeon Guardian had gone berserk, the dungeon difficulty had increased dramatically, and an emergency exit had been opened so players could retreat at any time. A giant portal immediately appeared not far from the battlefield, right behind Chen Jun, making him grin with excitement. Seeing Liu Yao struggling, Chen Jun burst into mocking laughter, saying his rival had finally shown his pathetic side. He drew back his bow as dazzling light gathered around the arrowhead, preparing the finishing shot. Without another moment of hesitation, Chen Jun released the string. The arrow ripped through the air toward the dark zombie tyrant king, but almost at the same instant, a desperate scream came from Liu Yao. Looking closer, everyone realized the boss had switched targets. It marched straight toward Liu Yao, every step shaking the earth and crushing anyone in its path. Members of the Supreme Guild were wiped out in an instant, while Liu Yao collapsed to the ground in complete terror. The boss drew closer and closer as the aura of death engulfed him. Liu Yao cried out desperately for help, having completely lost his composure. But the boss had already raised its massive blade for the final strike. Just before the blade came down, the silver-armored scorpion suddenly rushed in and blocked the attack head-on, its HP dropping sharply in a single instant. Watching from a distance, Zhang Yue frowned slightly. He had not expected Berserk mode to boost the boss so dramatically that even the silver-armored scorpion was now taking heavy damage. At the same time, Chen Jun seized the opportunity and sprinted toward the portal. He looked back with a cold smile, convinced he had escaped danger. Seeing that, Zhang Yu's expression darkened as he shouted sharply. Meanwhile, the silver-armored scorpion was being forced backward by the boss, while Liu Yao still lay helpless on the ground, completely unable to fight back. Zhang Yue calculated the situation in an instant. Chen Jin was about to escape, while Liu Yao was moments from death. He only had one chance to teleport, and choosing wrong meant losing both. Zhang Yue took a small step forward, ready to make his decision. Just as Liu Yao was about to be cut down, Zhang Yue teleported into the attack range and instantly cast an A-rank ice spike. It struck the boss head-on, dealing damage and freezing it for a brief moment. A damage number appeared along with the freezing effect, forcing the dark zombie tyrant king to halt in place. Zhang Yue shouted for Liu Yao to retreat while the opening was still there. The moment the freeze wore off, the boss swung its blade down and carved a massive trench into the ground where Liu Yao had been standing. Liu Yao escaped by the narrowest margin, his heart pounding wildly. Zhang Yue tightened his grip on the staff and locked his eyes on the boss. Even an A-rank skill had dealt only minor damage, proving this level 17 boss had mutated far beyond his expectations. He immediately switched to a mobile fighting style, relying on speed to widen the distance and wait for a counterattack. The boss chased relentlessly, swinging its blade over and over, while Zhang Yu dodged and fired back with fireball and flame missile. Damage numbers kept appearing, but they were still not enough to pressure the boss. The members of the Supreme Guild did not dare join the fight. Liu Yao urged them to help, but everyone hesitated, knowing they would only die for nothing. Fortunately, the boss remained focused on Zhang Yue and ignored everyone else for the time being, though its speed made the situation increasingly dangerous. Thanks to his superior agility and the slowing effect of the frost staff, Zhang Yue could almost predict every move the boss made, avoiding nearly every attack through pure instinct. But after one slight mistake, he barely dodged a heavy slash before the boss closed the distance. Its shield slammed into him, instantly turning the situation against him. The Tyrant King's massive shield was already rising for the finishing blow, leaving Zhang Yue almost no room to escape. At the critical moment, a streak of violet light crashed down like lightning and struck the boss, dealing 65 damage while applying an imprisoning effect. The mage's crowd control had worked perfectly. Turning around, Zhang Yue saw Su Jinyan holding her purple crystal staff in the distance. Calmly, she repeated their old strategy. She would handle the control, and he would handle the damage. Without another word, Zhang Yue immediately understood and launched back into the attack as their rhythm returned. Small but steady attacks landed one after another, each dealing around 200 damage. With the boss locked down by disabling effects, the two worked together flawlessly as its HP steadily dropped, leaving everyone watching in stunned silence. The sight left every member of the Supreme Guild speechless. They could not stop talking about how Miss Su Jinyans of the Su family had pushed her class beyond its limits into a forbidden mage with overwhelming control abilities that almost kept the boss permanently locked down. Someone blurted out that only Zhang Yue could possibly fight a 3-star boss like this. Anyone else would have died countless times already. One player even suggested recruiting both of them into his guild, but his assistant immediately reminded him that Su Jinyan was impossible to recruit, and Zhang Yue was even less likely to be controlled. In the middle of the battlefield, Zhang Yue and Su Jinyan continued fighting in perfect sync without the slightest mistake. At last, the boss HP was forced below 1, signaling that the battle was nearly over. Seeing the health bar almost empty, Zhang Yue suddenly stopped attacking instead of dealing the final blow. Su Jinyan looked at him in confusion, silently asking why he was giving up the finishing strike. Zhang Yue simply looked at the boss and explained that he had been the one who activated this hidden dungeon from the very beginning. Hearing that, Su Jinyan froze for a moment as everything suddenly clicked into place. After a brief silence, she immediately understood his intention and nodded in agreement. Without another delay, she raised her staff and prepared the finishing attack. 2 precise strikes dealing about 5,060 damage each landed perfectly, combining to erase the boss' final 0.1 HP. The enormous body of the dark zombie tyrant king crashed to the ground, bringing the battle to an end. Experience light flooded the entire area. Nearly 200 members of the Supreme Guild received the rewards, and more than half of them leveled up on the spot. The dungeon system also confirmed that all participating teammates shared the boss rewards, except those who had left midway. A regional announcement echoed across the area. Nording City congratulated player Su Jinya for becoming the first to clear the level 15 hidden dungeon, Dark Corpse Nest, and awarded a level 15 dungeon scroll. As soon as the announcement ended, the entire dungeon erupted into deafening cheers. Liu Yao rushed over in excitement and hugged Zhang Yue, repeatedly calling him his lifesaver. Zhang Yue answered bluntly that without him, the entire team would have ended in disaster. Hearing that, Liu Yao looked a little embarrassed and asked what he should do next. He first offered 1 million as compensation, but Zhang Yue coldly asked if he had anything more valuable than money. The simple question instantly set Liu Yao off. He passionately talked about his dream of building the strongest guild in the world and immediately invited Zhang Yue to join. He added that the Liu family of Lin Hai was a powerhouse in the potion business, so anyone who joined would never lack resources. Zhang Yue simply raised a hand to stop him, showing little interest. Liu Yao refused to give up and brought up the Liu family's partnerships with the Su family and the Shangguan family to make his offer more convincing. When he mentioned that the Su family specialized in blacksmithing, Zhang Yue frowned slightly in surprise. Liu Yao quickly added that his father was on excellent terms with the head of the Su family, and as long as the materials were available, crafting top-tier equipment was practically guaranteed. After hearing that, Zhang Yue rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Compared to buying finished gear, skilled blacksmiths could forge equipment of far higher quality. Seeing him hesitate, Liu Yao changed his approach. He said Zhang Yue did not have to join the Supreme Guild right away. Becoming friends was enough, and whenever he needed equipment crafted, Liu Yao would personally arrange it. Faced with such overwhelming enthusiasm, Zhang Yue did not know how to respond. In the end, he simply nodded to end the conversation, then turned to Su Jinyan. Together, they headed straight for the portal and left the dungeon. Outside Nording City, news of the battle spread everywhere. Su Jinyan, the second young lady of the Susis family, had awakened an epic-class profession. To everyone else, she was both beautiful and incredibly powerful. Back in the city, Chen Jun was also following the news. He reminded those beside him that Su Jinyan had always been a pillar of Yanyu Pavilion, and claimed this battle proved the guild's true strength. His strategist looked uneasy and pointed out that Zhang Yue had clearly survived. Chen Jun's expression darkened as he admitted he had underestimated his opponent and had even been used against in the hidden dungeon. If he failed to kill Zhang Yue, he swore he would never rest. The strategist reminded him that Zhang Yue was already extremely powerful and now had the Supreme Guild behind him, making any move difficult. Chen Jin only sneered and said that if he could not kill Zhang Yue himself, someone else could do it. The strategist immediately asked what he had in mind. Chen Jun mentioned that many veteran players had been stranded in the Third World since last year, all above level 30. With the influence of the Chen family, hiring them would not be difficult. He threw back his head and laughed confidently, thinking that if Zhang Yue survived the Third World, then luck must truly be on his side. While leaving the dungeon with Su Jinyan, she suddenly asked whether he would consider Yanyu Pavilion an enemy after everything Chen Jun had done. Zhang Yue answered without hesitation. Right now, his only target was Chen Jun, but if Yan Yu Pavilion chose to stand with him, then they would become enemies as well. Relieved by that answer, Su Jinyan let out a quiet sigh and immediately swore that she had absolutely nothing to do with Chen Jun. In fact, she could not stand him. She then brought up the earlier agreement and said the boss kill reward belonged to Zhang Yue before handing all of the dropped equipment to him. Looking at the pile of loot, Zhang Yue smiled to himself. After dismantling and upgrading it, the set would greatly increase both his damage output and survivability. While checking the rewards, a system announcement echoed throughout Nording City. In 30 minutes, a level 15 corpse tide would begin, and every player was ordered to prepare for the city's defense. Hearing about the corpse tide, Su Jinyan became excited because she had missed the previous one and did not want to miss this chance. Zhang Yue quietly calculated that clearing this wave would complete the second world's mission and allow him to enter the third world. She urged him to hurry back and prepare. Zhang Yue simply nodded and picked up his pace. Just then, someone called out to them as a figure rushed straight toward the pair. Lin Yuni appeared, pretending to look weak and pitiful. She lowered her head to apologize to Zhang Yue, saying she knew she had been wrong and begged for his forgiveness. Zhang Yue immediately pushed her away with a cold expression and demanded to know what she really wanted. Choking back tears, Lin Yueni said that Liu Yao had abandoned her. Su Jinyan instantly looked disgusted and asked why she had come running to Zhang Yue just because she had been dumped. Did she think he was some kind of backup option? Lin Yuer admitted she once looked down on him for being poor, but everyone wants a better life. She kept trying to convince him, saying he was strong now. His future was...
Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.